Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
What's up, Joe?
What's up, Joe?
So we should say right away off the bat, because people don't know, you really did break Francis Ngannou's punch record.
Yeah, so I don't know what the confusion is. You know, I didn't want
A
to.
lot of people they doubt it just because he's so big.
So I'm gonna post it.
Well, we just sent it to Jamie. We
Yeah.
sent one where you went to 170.
Yeah,
So, let's see this
170. So you got Eddie Hall.
Right, so what's the world record? I think I've got the
So he got 113, and Francis
Amazing result
had gotten 129.
We're trying to break Ngannou's record right now.
I had already hit 4 times.
170.
Now the only thing this is the thing that people don't understand though is it's the same machine. I think everybody thought it was like one of those punching bags that are down at the boardwalk.
Right.
And you know, it's aggravating because I pride myself in my power. I want to hurt you. You know what I mean? Like that's my intention. I'm trying to. I mean, we all
Clearly.
throw with power, right? But
Yeah.
I feel like I have a little different intention sometimes. So you know, I've always prided myself in hitting hard. I've always felt like I hit harder than everybody. Now, sure, I'm sure Francis's punch feels different than mine, but I got speed, I got power, and I walk at like 220 when I'm out of camp. So I'm not a small guy, you know what I mean? I'm 6'2", 220 when I'm hitting that. And even then, I was probably light because I was injured. So I was probably about 212, 214 when I hit that. And just to put it up, I'm going to post it whenever I get back home. And I'm going to post a video, and I'm going to post the picture also of me hitting higher than that at 181. I only have the picture, but Tuco, who's
That's
Brendan
crazy.
Allen's coach, was there.
I think someone has kicked it up to like 187. I think that's the newest high kick, which is crazy.
Kick, yeah.
Yeah, that
I'm not
your
kicking
your
it.
punch is that close to a kick.
Yeah.
That's pretty nuts.
Now, I get it. It's a standstill object, right? I
Yeah.
can smash that thing.
Right.
My man.
But
What do you
I've
got,
been...
Jamie?
I was trying to see who did it. Here's Aljo and Wonder Boy kicking it. There's someone just did 189. I don't know who that is.
Lorenz Larkin.
you
That's
go.
Lorenz Larkin. Yeah, I think he's got the record now. Lorenz, who used to fight in the UFC, now I guess he's with the PFL now, right?
I
Because
thought he was Bellator. Oh, yeah,
well,
they merged.
Bellator is the PFL now. Yeah, but Lorenz got
yeah.
189.
235.
Oh, Jesus. He got 235? Wow. Lorenz can fucking kick hard.
Yeah.
That's a super underrated dude. I always go to his fight with Neil Magny. Go watch that fight. Jesus.
I would love to
That
see
dude
Diego
can
Lima.
strike. Oh, yeah. He's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jose.
There's probably quite a few guys that can kick like that. But Lorenz, like, if you watch him, that technique is just perfect. He's perfect. The way he switches his hips, the way he turns his body into it is just maximizing it.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
it's really, I mean, some people, it's weird, you know, for me because a lot of people think I have natural power, and I get annoyed with it because I've never had anything natural in my life. You know, everything was difficult. Learning jiu-jitsu, learning how to box, you know, everything was hard for me to learn. So I have a bitter chip on my shoulder when people are like trying to discredit it with natural power.
Well,
I don't know.
There
but-
is a thing though where there's like you could unlock horsepower in a human being, but you only have so much when it comes to power. There's certain people, and I think we've all seen them. They just don't hit hard for whatever reason, and they look big. They can look strong, and then there's certain guys that for whatever reason they fucking hit crazy hard, and they're not that big. And a lot of it is efficiency and fluidity and the technique and the leverage, and that's all learned, right? But there's like a certain thing to like bone structure and just natural power.
My bones got to be trash, Joe, because I've fucking having 2 surgeries and
I just
being
think
beat
it's the
up.
amount of power that you generate. I mean, it's probably a lot of it too.
It's
you know?
probably a corny thing to say, but I was told that I almost generate too much force for my bone density to handle. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if they were just
Kinda
kind of
makes
stroking
sense.
my ego.
Well,
But
it makes sense. That's why your hands break. When people's hands break, that's why they break, because you're literally generating too much force for your bone structure.
yeah, I'm
Dude, when
gonna
you
be
fought
old.
Razak Al Hassan, you are on. There's a thing that happens with fighters where you see them You see anxiety, you see first fight, you see nerves, you see jitters, you see skills, but it's hard to like see the full range of them. And then they start getting comfortable. And when they start getting comfortable, like the Mearshart fight, you just stomped him.
Yeah.
But the Razak Al Hassan fight, like, dude, you were on another level. Like, that's like when people talk about a guy in the gym, like, dude, you got to see this motherfucker in the gym. And then seeing that manifest itself inside the octagon, to me, that's one of my favorite things to see. I love watching guys show their potential. You know, and in that fight, Razak Al Hassan is a beast.
Yeah, he's a dog.
He's a dangerous dude. And you just put on a fucking show in that fight. You looked like you were on a completely different level. Like you had gone up several rungs from where you were before.
You know what's crazy about it, though? The whole process of what's gotten me to that point has been nothing shy of just, man, if I'm mentally happy, I'm going to destroy everybody. But I often struggle mentally, you know, like I didn't turn it on. My coaches were all scared in the back just because they know me so well. I'm an emotional dude. I wear my heart on my sleeve. Like I say how I feel. You don't really have to read the room. You can read my face. You know what I mean? You understand where I'm at. And I'm not shy to say where I'm at. So that whole week was off. Sean wasn't in the corner. He got sick. I had some issues with a best friend, and I've known for 12, 13 years. He didn't get to come out, and just everything was like off. I had MRSA on my bicep, on my forearm 2 weeks before.
Oh shit!
I had antibiotics. Before that, I split my toes open where they separated, so the bone. So I could barely, I got all swollen, bro. I've never had an easy camp, and I was having nightmares for the first time of getting knocked the fuck out like all week during my weight cut, during training. I had these crazy nerves. I would get cold sweats. Like I thought something was wrong, and I never had that before, you know. And I was contemplating like, man, I'm not gonna rush my career. Maybe this isn't the right move. But
was it the step up in competition?
No. So this is crazy. It's gonna come off. Well, it's not crazy, but it comes off as really arrogant. Like Abdul was not a step up in competition for me. He was a step up as far as power, and people that I fought. As far as people that have the ability to knock you out.
Consequences.
So, yeah. There's consequences for small error, and but I knew skill for skill, dude's not on my level. I knew Gerald Mearshart, however you say it, I mean, that dude, to me, without being disrespectful, I don't know how he's been in the UFC. The guy I first fought, he's not in the UFC anymore, but he had 8 knockouts. I've been doing this for 23 years. I started at 4.5 years old. I don't want people to think that I'm cocky or arrogant, but I am. I am cocky. I'm confident,
Don't you think you kind of have to be?
Yeah, you do have to be.
Fucking cage fighter.
It's your protection barrier too from people to just openly try to cut you down, because everybody like hitting that punching machine. Everybody immediately discredits. Says that Dana White just wants to get after Francis Ngannou. That's why they didn't release the video. I told you at the Austin fight.
Right.
I was pissed off it didn't get posted. You know what I mean?
Well, it's posted now.
Yeah, so it's posted now, and it's on a big platform. But yeah, man, I mean, Abdul was just somebody you had to be careful with, but I didn't think he boxed better than me, and I think DC even says it as I'm walking into the cage. And his best shot was to knock me out, and if he couldn't knock me out, he wasn't winning that fight. So. Well,
it's also very evident. Like, you're one of those guys that's at the top of the 185-pound division in terms of like physical stature. You don't get much bigger at 185. It's like you and guys like Pereira, which Pereira doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Like, I was always like, how? How the fuck are you 185?
Man, when I look at when I look at him, like it's so weird. We've seen each other so many times. There's no head nod. There's no respect. There's no even him. Like, man, I think a lot of guys are overrated in this fucking sport.
You think that guy's overrated?
I mean, look, I don't think I think getting hit by him isn't overrated, right? But he's very stiff, and he's got that off switch.
Well, he definitely does
clipped
at
him
85. Yeah,
at 85. I don't know about 205.
I think that is a big part of the weight cut. I think his weight cut is borderline dangerous. Like, I think that a weight cut to 85 could kill you.
Yeah.
I think he's just so tough that he doesn't. But I think there's a point of diminishing returns, and certainly with your chin. Yeah. And when Izzy cracked him, obviously Izzy hit him perfect. It was pinpoint. And then rocked him with the second shot. But the way he went out, I was like...
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I'm not going to say any names, but, there's a guy that just recently lost who I like, and it's like, man, like when you've had that off button shut off to the point where you're frozen, and it's not like you got TKO'd, it's off.
Yes. There's a thing that happens to guys when they've taken too many shots.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah. I've never been laid out. Last time I was ever dropped, I was 18 years old. I got dropped by a guy that used to be in the UFC for a brief moment. It was Tim Williams. He fought your boy Eric Anders, who I like. He's cool. But yeah, no, I've never had the lights like shut off or anything. So thankful for that. But I pride myself in my defense too. You know what I mean?
It's critical. I mean, a strong defensive base is so important when you know how to move well. I was just watching this documentary that the UFC put on about Anderson Silva. And it's not that I forgot how good Anderson Silva was.
Smooth. Super smooth. Super fluent.
Everything, man. When he was in his prime, his fucking defense, too, was so perfect. He was so hard to hit clean.
His range, man. When you're taller, these guys underestimate range, and everybody wants to brawl, but people don't understand range. You should be able to slide back, and it just grazes your beard, So
range is everything. Yeah. And also the mechanical advantage of that long frame. When Anderson would throw that torque on guys, and when he was in his prime, like you watch like the Rich Franklin fights and the Chris Lieben fight, and like that fucking dude was special, man. But
so
defense was a big part of it.
Let me ask you, because I'm a huge fan of the old school days, more so than the new school. I just think it was more raw and just like I liked when everybody was on roids. Everybody was on roids, but that's exactly the stipulation, right? We're so hard on the athletes of today. They pop for something that's not even a performance enhancing level.
Yeah.
But these guys had their reign and were never discredited, but we know they were all on shit.
Right. Well, I always talk about TRT Vitor. I think TRT Vitor, the Vitor
best.
that fucked up Luke Rockhold and Michael Bisping, that dude, I put him up against anybody ever. He was fucking terrifying. But he was also like silverback gorilla levels of testosterone. He was like off the charts. Like when they tested him, one of the reasons why they stopped TRT is because they tested Vitor one time, and he was so far off the charts. They were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he had said that he was going to be in America for like a week, and so the doctor just gave him a big dose to like last for the week. I just think he just
Look up next to you. He looks
Oh, man.
almost the same size.
well, Yoel Romero.
I'm a huge fan of Yoel Romero, by the
Yoel
way.
Romero is the freak of all freaks. And I've said this many times before on this podcast, but he is the single most impressive athlete I've ever seen in all my years of watching fights.
How old is he, 44 now?
He's at least 44. He might be 45, 46.
Oh, man. Yeah, Juice Vitor was the bomb, though.
Yoel didn't even need juice, man. He was a part of the Cuban athletic program. And there's something about that dude, whether it's genetics or who knows what it is, but I've told this before, so I apologize for anybody who's heard this. The UFC had brought him to a doctor after one of his fights. I think it was one of his fights in Australia. And the doctor said to the UFC, "Where did you get this guy?" And he and they were like, "He's one of our fighters." He goes, "I've never seen anything like him." He goes, "Yeah, he's pretty amazing, right?" He goes, "No, you don't understand. I've never seen a human being like him. The tendons in his eyes are 3 times larger than normal." They said that his orbital bone, when it fractured, by the time they got him to the doctor, like a couple days later, it already started healing. Like, this guy's a fucking Wolverine.
That dude was eating fucking bark or something from growing up.
He was something super special. That guy.
I have to say, he was someone that I loved watching. I loved that Paulo Costa and Yoel Romero fight and whatnot. I was always sad I never got to see him win a belt before he
he was
left. But
in the UFC. He started in the UFC, I believe, in his very late 30s.
yeah, like 37.
Yeah, something crazy like that. Like when he knocked out Lyoto Machida, I think he was like 38, 39.
Yeah.
He was already at the range where most guys are looking to hang it up.
But look at a guy like that, right? I mean, I don't think he's that technical. I don't think he's
Was wrestling
very
certainly
technically
is.
wrestling 100%, you know,
Yeah.
but he never used it as like a complete mixed martial artist. He always seemed to kind of just be like the kickboxing guy, wanted to keep it on the feet.
Which is crazy when you think about his wrestling background. But that's just an energy thing. Like the amount of energy that it takes to wrestle, to take guys down, especially when they're slippery, especially when he's not a submission guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has any submissions in his record. He
I'm
just
not sure.
smashes guys when he gets them on the ground.
Yeah.
But his wrestling was so elite, but yet you rarely saw it. But like when he knocked out Chris Weidman with that flying knee, like that fucking dude could explode on you like no other.
Man, yeah, it's that I mean, that's a guy that's natural though, right? You want to say as a natural athlete,
I
like
think
that's how
natural,
he's born into
but
it.
I think maybe there was something going on in Cuba. I think they
There
were
has
doing
to
some.
be.
Look at Karelin. We always talk about Karelin, but Karelin for the Soviet Union, they called him the experiment. That's literally what they called him. He was so freakish, and his parents were like normal size. They were small folks. And he would like be walking with his parents, like with his hands on their shoulders. He was a giant.
Yeah, he
just an
towers
immense
over.
human being. And
Here's a bowl of cereal and here's some fucking testosterone.
there was no bolus. They gave him a fucking caribou liver for breakfast. That guy was a freak of all freaks. But I think there's something to that Soviet training program. And, you know, when you look at other communist countries, like particularly Cuba, there's no doubt about it. They did whatever they could to make their athletes the best they could. And it just stands to realize.
To a certain extent, I mean, I think if you want to have that peak performance, you want to have that peak human being for whatever you're trying to, put them in. I mean, you can't. Naturally, it's hard. Like, it's very hard. It's the hardest
you could get
road.
lucky. You could get lucky and get a Francis Ngannou with like the best genetics ever, or you can just start manipulating someone when they're very young. Yeah. If you get a young kid and you start giving them growth hormone and IGF-1 and all peptides and stuff when they're really little. Like you can get
it depends on their diet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like most of everything we eat is processed and trash.
That too.
We have
I'm
the
sure they're giving them
food.
optimal nutrition. I'm sure I'm sure with that kind of a program, like a communist program, where everything is on the line. Like if you are a athlete for a totalitarian dictatorship, like whether it's Cuba or Russia or China, whatever it is, they will do whatever they can to make their athletes the best. Like the idea of cheating, we saw it in the Sochi Olympics with that documentary Icarus. Have you seen that documentary? It's a great documentary by Brian Fogel about. I've talked about this recently. I apologize to people who listen, but the Brian Fogel, what he was going to do is he did a bike race. And he did a bike race natural, and he's a very good athlete, endurance athlete. So he did this bike race natural, and then he went to this guy who is the head of the Soviet anti-doping program, and he said, this is what I want to do. I want to do it natural 1 year, and then the next year I want you to just juice me up to the tits. And we're going to do a documentary and see how I do juiced versus natural. In the process of filming all this, it got released that the Sochi Olympics were rigged. And so what Russia was doing was they put a hole in the wall where the urine samples were, and they were swapping urine samples. So they're taking the dirty urine samples from their, because it was in Russia. So they're taking the dirty urine samples from their athletes and swapping it out for clean urine samples. But they got caught because they found these micro scratches on these jars that were supposedly impossible to open. And that these like impenetrable jars that they stored the urine in to make it secure. But then they did an analysis in the jar, and they said like somebody's been fucking with these jars. And so then they analyzed the urine, and then the whole house of cards came tumbling down while this guy was doing this documentary. And this guy, what was his name? Gregory Rodchenkov? Is that his name?
I think Rodchenkov.
Rodchenkov? That gentleman, who was the head of the Soviet doping program, got in the witness protection program and then spilled the beans on the Soviet Union. He's hiding in America now. I mean, they arrested his family. They took away his family's money. Like they fucked his whole family up. Like the story is crazy. But he detailed everything that they do as far as their doping program, and they doped everybody. They doped everybody except figure skaters.
Damn,
that's the dude. Gregory
Definitely
Rodchenkov.
not what I was imaging or picturing in my head.
He's hilarious. He's actually funny, but it's an amazing documentary. I can't recommend Icarus enough, but it just shows how far these countries are willing to go in order to gain, national superiority by having their athletes gold medal more than anybody.
Power, it's the most addicting thing, right?
Yeah, and it's also it's national pride. There's a lot involved, and they're all assuming that everybody else is doing this too, because
everybody on some shit.
Yeah, like
everybody's on some shit
for sure. If they can get away with it, they cheat. Pete, there's so much, especially when it comes to things like the Olympics.
Because they'll never stop exploring, trying to find the easier route.
Exactly.
It's funny because a lot of people have said shit to me, and I'm like, listen. When I came back after I broke my arm, I was big before I broke my arm, and then but I was big in the wrong way. I was big in like a weightlifting way.
When did you break your arm?
2020 maybe.
And how'd you do it?
Dustin Stoltzfus. I got Matt returned in a fucking Contender Series fight, dislocated and broke backwards.
And that's your right arm?
That's
the
my right
the big
arm. So
scar?
I had one surgery. That's this scar. 6 months later, I joined my team Marquez, where Sean's at, and all the Philly guys. And then I had to 6 months again. Had to get another surgery and another major surgery. And
Same injury, just re-injured it?
So no. So I still had a torn forearm, and I had a whole bunch of bone growth behind. So I broke the radial head in half, which is what you rotate. So I can rotate my hand right like this on my good arm, but I can't go any further than this because it's pinned. I have
this
screws
day?
in there. To this day, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's as straight as my arm goes. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So motherfuckers don't understand that this was I was given a 30% chance of being able to fight. If I got the second surgery.
30%.
30%, because of the nerve damage and not like having full functionality, because there's a lot of nerves in there, especially where I got surgery and how much damage and inflammation and whatnot was in there. So they had to cut the capsule and whatnot. So, man, when I tell you, like, I'm going to be hurting when I'm older, I'm going to be hurting. I have pain every day and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I broke my arm in some bullshit fluke accident. I did get Matt returned. I should have let go of the head. I was going to go for a guillotine, and then he lifted me. I didn't expect it, right? Posted out, boom. Been that way 1,000 times in practice, never been hurt. And, yeah, it ate me up, man. It ate me up. They closed the ambulance doors, and, you don't get to say shit to Dana White, and all you get is a bunch of nerds that text you and say, hey, man, at least you got a couple million views. You're famous. And, I lost sponsorships. I was depressed, suicidal, all that shit, and 20 years of my life, I think, at that point.
So you were really concerned that was the end?
Yeah, I mean, look, Joe, I started this at 4.5 years old. I don't know how much you know, but, I started this at 4.5 years old, and I haven't seen another path, and this was my A, and there was no B. So if A didn't work, that was it.
So at 4.5, you knew you wanted to fight?
8 years old, I knew I wanted to fight. 4.5, I started jiu-jitsu. 5 years old, I did my first competition in Naga. Yeah, I mean, 8 years old, I started developing like a little bit of a confidence. I was so run down and abused that was where my confidence started coming from. So I never had a dream of the belt, and I can say all these years, I've never had a dream of holding a belt, but I always had a dream of people chanting my name when I was walking out to a sold-out crowd. So that was always my dream, and I've always wanted that. And yeah, I mean, I wasn't a kid that hung out with kids. I was homeschooled, and yeah, there's a lot of detail to uncover in there. But yeah, I mean, I've known I wanted to do this all my life. And when I tell you there was no plan B, bro, there was no plan B. So,
when did you have your first MMA fight? How old were you?
I was, I think, 20 years old. 20 years old. 20 years old. Actually, no, that's not true. Yeah, it is true. 20 years old. I think it was 2017 was my first fight, or 2016, one of those years.
And amateur or did
amateur?
You go,
yeah. So PA, I'm a PA boy at the time. You have to have 5 amateurs before you could go pro.
Oh, really? Is
Yeah.
that the rule?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That was the rule when I was fighting. So you had to have 5.
Is that still the rule?
I'm not sure. I think it is. You definitely have to have amateur experience to be considered to get your pro license.
What if you're like an amateur wrestler or something like that? Does
I'm
that
not
translate
sure.
into it?
I don't think so. I
Interesting.
think it's just that. I think it's just the way that the PA commission was with Greg Serb back then.
It's not a bad idea.
So I went 4-1 as an amateur. And I felt so held back with the bullshit shin guards, not being able to punch somebody in the face.
Oh, that's
on the
how it is
ground.
with the amateurs? You can't punch the face?
Can't punch in the face.
No
can't elbow
elbowing
in
on the
face.
ground?
Nope.
No.
So I couldn't wait to turn pro, man. I felt so held back, and my kind of training, like I trained at Fight Factory, which was a gym that had Eddie Alvarez when he was 19 years old. I met Eddie before he even had his first fight.
Oh, wow.
So when I say I know, a lot of these guys will say, oh, I know these people. I'm the OG in the gym as the young guy, because I've been around for so long. So that's why when these fucking clickbait turds come out and they say, oh, he's fighting a guy with a lot of experience, and Gerald Mearshart, he's got the most submission. I'm like, motherfucker, you're not doing anything that I have never seen. Now, there's a difference between watching on the TV and saying, he doesn't do anything special, and you get in there and you feel somebody's presence. You feel that energy. You feel their intention, So I knew that motherfucker wasn't going to bang with me. I knew Abdul wasn't going to bang with me. That's why as soon as I cracked him, as soon as I let him feel me, like, yeah, motherfucker, like, go ahead. And, he didn't get that. He didn't get to get going. I checked him immediately. Like, you're a powerhouse, you're an alpha, well, so am I. Come take it. So I fight with a heavy heart in there. You know what I mean? You're trying to take my living from me. I'm still a poor kid. That's my mentality. You know what I mean? I'm nothing, and I'm trying to be something. You know what I mean? So you better be ready to kill me, motherfuckers. Like, that's how. Same thing with this guy Jack, man. Like, nice guy. You better be ready to die in there, or I'm coming for you. Like, I don't want no decisions.
You talk about your abuse. Like, what exactly was the abuse?
I don't want to give the short version, right? You know,
Okay.
this is a moment right now that I get to recognize that I'm in front of somebody who you've heard so many stories, so many crazy things. And, you know, my story is definitely not up there with the crazy things, right? But my story, I'm unique. I'm one of one. So my story is, you know, I started out, the abuse started when I was a year old. My parents both blame each other, you know, child services in and out of our lives. I'm one of 5 kids. I got 4 sisters, 2 older, 2 younger. And, I started getting beat as a 1-year-old. From what I was told, is because I had shit myself, right? It's what infants do. And so that's when it started. And
Wow, you got beat for going to the bathroom?
shit in my diaper, yeah. The story is I shit my diaper, reached in my diaper, wiped on the walls, and then I got beat for it. Neither parent owns up to it, but both parents have blamed each other just because of the physical abuse on my father's side. 100% has to be him. My mom was not physically aggressive by nature. You know what I mean? She definitely whooped my ass, you know, a good amount, but it was never with the mean intentions, you know, comparable to my father. It was more verbal on her end. But yeah, so it started then. And, bro, since the time I've had memory, I remember getting my head stomped, getting beat, getting screamed at, slapped, humiliated, just run down, told you're never going to be anything. And, you know, my sisters unfortunately received the same treatment. And, yeah, so, I mean, abuse has been something, and toxic, and I mean toxic. Like, when I want to say, like, breaking somebody down, I didn't have an ounce of self-esteem. I was my dad's puppet. I didn't know no life. Being homeschooled, you do school, right?
Is he still around?
Still living, yeah, still living. I'm not sure where. I've parted ways with him, and I don't want to talk to him. Next time I see him is probably, you know, when it's done. And I don't hate him. You know what I mean? I don't hate him, but I despise him as a human being as far as, you know, what he's given back to the world and the kind of person that he's accepted to be. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he's still around. I just don't know where, and I don't really care where. So I know my mom still lives at the house that I grew up in. And
It's so hard to believe that some people are capable of becoming what they become, you know, and to do that to their child.
You know what's fucked up about it the most is that it was almost better for me to have never known him than to know him and see how it went and lose him. You know what I mean? Because I loved that man as a child. That was my idol. Nobody could beat him in the gym. Like, that's what I thought. And I never thought he was a liar, you know, and then right around 15 years old, and I definitely think I was behind, you know what I mean, socially, just because of being homeschooled. So my dad wound up getting Social Security disability, and he was a stay-at-home dad, you know what I mean, collecting SSD and fucking doing nothing but beating his kids and screaming and sitting, basically just being, you know, a child abuser to all of us, you know, and never once has he ever taken accountability for the wrongs that he's done. And if he's tried to finagle it, it's been to be like, hey, you were a bad kid. And it's like, yo, I want to know how I was a bad kid. I didn't steal. Sure, I lied as a kid out of fear because I was afraid to get my head stomped or get beat like a man. You know, I didn't get a traditional ass whooping, Joe. Like, neither of my sisters either. They got picked up by their necks, picked up by their hair, strangled. You know, and there's many stories, you know, and as you know, we have a documentary, right? Yeah. And I refrained from putting the details of specific stories because the documentary is not about woe is me, poor me. It's about, hey, I never through all of this gave up on the dream to get to the UFC. Even when I broke my arm and I thought I did everything right. I didn't go out and party. I didn't go out and do drugs. I've never smoked weed. I've never done, and I'm not saying weed's a drug, but I've never smoked weed. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never popped a pill. I've never done anything. I didn't go out to strip clubs. I didn't go out and bring girls home from the bar. That's never been me. So, yeah, I mean,
you were just always focused.
I was obsessed with this. And I was obsessed with this because I knew if I couldn't do this, I would have checked out. And that's what made me, like, keep going, motherfucker, keep going. And I just kept beating down the door of people like my coach that, has come with me. I've known that man since I was 10 years old, and he's seen me in the gym, and nothing's changed. He could tell you that from, the only thing that's changed is my maturity, the way I look at life, perspective. But, yeah, man, I mean, it was a rough background, and it only got worse as I got older.
It's a horrible thing to hear. As a parent, it's terrifying to think that another parent could do that to their child, but we all know it's true. And we all know that it can do one of two things to someone. It could just ruin your life, or it can give you this unstoppable fuel. And that's what it seems to have done with you. I would never wish that on anybody. But I often see people like you that are so fucking driven and so angry in there and so effective because of that, like so dangerous because of that. I often wonder, like, is it even possible to make a guy like you without that?
I don't think so.
I look at like Mike Tyson, same thing.
I don't think so. But I think that's where I have my appreciation for him. I'll never discredit him. I would not be in the sport if it wasn't for him. He was the one that went to the gym. He's the one that introduced me, and I will give respect where it's due, right? And that's the respect.
Was he a fighter?
He grew up in Kensington, Philadelphia. I don't know how well you know Philadelphia. Shithole. Bad parents. Mom apparently was, borderline. I don't know if she was a prostitute or whatever, but he was homeless he was passed home to home. He was always passed back and forth to his parents. So he lived a much rougher life than me. He got jumped all the time. Back then it was, a very segregated type, you don't come into this part of Philly and you don't cross this part of Philly. And so he would get jumped all the time. I think he was like a timid, like skinny, nerdy, malnutritioned child growing up. So I know his dad, my grandpa, who I've met a handful of times, was in the Vietnam War. But then when he came back, apparently my dad's story is that he used to sell drugs all the time and was always high and like that's the story he painted to us. So in my eyes, like we never knew him really, other than a handful of times we met him because they were bad people and he despised them, and he always held like the craziest anger towards his family. Like they all blackballed him. He was the black sheep. So yeah, I mean he grew up rough too, but yeah, I mean he boxed apparently for a long time. He used to tell everybody he was 115-4. You can't fucking find the guy's records anywhere. It's 100% bullshit. Dude's a fucking storyteller, but he could box, you know what I mean? Even if he didn't fight, he could box. He would do well against guys that were pro boxers or fight guys that were in the gym. My dad was a tough dude. He was good. But definitely always lied for his convenience, for his story. And as he was learning jiu-jitsu with a guy named Steve Hegg, who wound up owning Fight Factory, who taught me jiu-jitsu alongside with my dad. But that's how I got into it. So I owe him a thanks for the tools that he gave me for the house I have gone to build. That's how I see it. You know what I mean? I don't think he ever intended to give me these tools and me go and fucking build a house with it. And I think he despises me for it. I mean, he's one of the guys, when I broke my arm, sends a message, face down, ass up, just how you like it. You'll never. I told you. Oh, yeah, bro. He sent a lot of shit, man. He has sent a lot of shit. And don't get me wrong, I've said a lot of shit back. Like we've argued. You know what I mean? He brings that special rage where I would like lose my life or his life over it. You know what I mean? Like I have to separate myself from him.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, I mean, but yeah, there's no holds bar when it comes to that guy. The way he manipulates, the way he lies, the way he has basically hurt every single person. He has no long-lasting friendships in his life. There's a reason for that, Yeah,
that's horrible.
Yeah, so not a good human being.
It's not good, but again, I mean, I hate to say it, but in your line of work, it's like a superpower.
It is a superpower, you know what I mean? I got that dark devil with me when I need him. And I don't mind it, you know what I mean? I can be a sweetheart. I could be a good person. I'm a giving person. I give a lot back in the dark to my teammates, One of the kids is Jose Soto, who just, by the way, got surgery today. Hope you're doing well. I think he's going to, he's got one eye, visibility, and he's one of the toughest guys I've ever sparred, and he's an amateur. And
how is it that, I wanted to ask you about this. Shara Bullet has one eye.
That's why I'm saying it, because I'm telling you right now, this kid will whoop that dude.
How is Shara Bullet able to fight? I mean, how do you pass athletic commission standards?
So I don't know. So I think that from what I've heard, I think it depends on the commission. and where you're fighting. In PA, I know he has to have, I think, and I may be wrong, so somebody don't roast me for it, but I think you have to have, I think it's called a 2200. You have to, it's like, has to be some type of visibility.
So you have to be able to see objects or
Yeah,
light,
an object,
movement.
shape, something. You have to be able to at least identify something out of that eye.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I think
That is the craziest way to fight when you already have lost one eye.
bro, he's bigger than me. The kid I'm talking about is bigger than me. He's bigger. He's bigger. He's like 225 right now, and he's in shape, abs cut. I'm telling you, I can't wait for this kid's future. But I train with all. But my point is like I give back to a lot of. I try to give back to a lot of my teammates, because I didn't let the things that hardened me and made me upset become a piece of shit. I don't think I'm a piece of shit. I think I'm a good person. I don't think I'm the best person. I'm not the nicest guy, by a long shot, right? But I think this world is about what you get, you give back, and how you can. If you're not giving back in some way with success that you have, then I think you're a piece of shit. I don't care if you're a billionaire. If you're not giving back and you're not trying to help the younger generation that's already so fucked up.
Especially the people around you, especially your tribe.
Yeah, I mean.
I couldn't agree more. The one eye thing, man, it just still really freaks me out. Like, shout out to Michael Bisping, one of the fucking toughest dudes to ever do it.
Hey, he
That
did it in
guy's-
the dark.
He scammed systems. He scammed the athletic commissions for 10 fights. For 10 fights, that dude fought with one eye.
But then look
and
at
won
the
title.
look at the other part of it, right? Like if he goes out there and he's getting smoked and he's not competitive, like sure, pull his card and say, "Hey, you can't do this." But then you're gonna tell somebody that they can't do what they've trained their whole life for because of something like that. Like that's not fair too. You know what I mean? Like.
Right. Well, you look at Shara Bullet. I mean, obviously, depth perception is the first thing that goes when you lose one eye.
Yeah.
It helps, but Shara Bullet is like one of the most accurate and precision strikers. I mean, he's got some flaws in his game. His takedown defense is terrible.
Yeah.
He's got to learn how to wrestle.
A man did not know how to get off his back
Which is crazy. He's from Dagestan.
from a guy that's not a wrestler.
Right. Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. But also, him on the feet's a fucking problem.
Oh
too.
man, guy that kicks that much, I don't want to fight that guy. That dude's annoying. It's not even. It's like I hate that kind of style. That shit would like Jack's style irritates the fuck out of me.
Jack Della Maddalena?
No, Jack Hermanson.
Hermanson.
Fighting.
Oh,
Dude's annoying
right,
as shit.
right.
I hate his style. Fucking bounces around and like he's just an awkward, weird shit. Shara Bullet's not weird, but he's so
Yes.
fast and kicks and man, I want to bang, not kick.
Hermanson and you is when? When is that?
February 10th.
Nice.
Yeah, so like 25 days or some shit like that, but
Yeah.
not too far out. I'm counting.
That's a very good fight for you.
It's a very good fight for me.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will try to pull this experience bullshit again. And he's definitely my toughest fight on paper, and I think he will be my toughest test. But one thing's for sure, he better not let me get that one, because I got that one. So he's a dog, he's tough. But I think we know what his style is. If you look at Jack, it's like, you got to get the takedown, brother. Because if you stand and bang with me, I'm going to put you down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not playing for decisions. And shit, it might come back to bite me, right? It might say it all confident. I might lose. Might happen. But I just don't think that's the next chapter for me. And yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
So it's a fight night
I'm
at
an ugly
the
motherfucker
Apex?
on TV, man.
Nah, you look great. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
The fucking Apex is the greatest place ever to see fights.
I like it. Everybody's complaining that I keep fighting there, but I like it, man. I like hearing my shots. I like hearing that.
Yeah,
Like,
you hear
I want to
everything.
hear it. And I want to hear him grunt when I hit him. I want to hear him wince. Like I want to see it. Like I don't have any outside noise blocking that.
Well, you can hear your coach, you can hear your corner, you
Yeah.
hear everything. It's to me the like when we were doing the COVID fights, when we were doing a lot of the fights from the Apex Center, including like world title fights, like Francis Ngannou when he beat Stipe, there was no crowd, which was so crazy. But for me, as a commentator and as an audience member, I was like, God, how lucky am I that I'm here for this? That this is like, the whole world's fucking shut down, and I get to be cage side for this with nobody else here.
It was a fortunate time, man. It was a fortunate time to, I think, like being in your position, like you're saying, right? Be able to be there.
Yes.
You've been around for so long, though, man. Like you earned that, right? I mean, and you're a part of the UFC in a big way. You're not just a commentator, you know what I mean? So you being a part of that is also historic too, But being able to see it with a guy like that in person. That's why I was upset when John Jones, man. I was going to go to that fight.
Yeah.
Oh, man, because he's on his way out. I love John Jones.
I love John Jones, too.
That dude is – I hate when everybody so much sidesteps him.
I know. When he tore that pec muscle, I was so bummed out. God damn, I wanted to see him versus Stipe.
There's still hope, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
maybe late summer.
It seems like that's what they want to do. It seems like that's the fight that they want to do.
What he keeps vocalizing to Tom Aspinall, you know what I mean? And I feel like he already wrote, like, which we all kind of assumed, but I think he'll have that fight with Stipe if Stipe's still hanging around. And then, kind of run off into...
Maybe, or maybe he'll do Aspinall, depending upon, I mean...
I don't think he has any interest, to be honest.
You don't think so?
No.
Why not, man? Look, what?
Elbow surgery also?
When did he have this?
He said while he was having pec surgery, because he had to recover for so long, he went ahead and got his elbow done too.
Was this recently?
Yeah, like I thought this was the video, but this was like 11 weeks ago.
Wasn't this the day?
Recent.
This was the day out, right after, or a couple days out after it happened, I think, that video.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
I'll find it.
This is not recent, though. That punching the thing is not recent.
This was like 2 weeks ago, a week ago. I thought it was on his Instagram account, but I'll look it up real quick. Hold
on. The thing is, like, John is, what, 36 now? Is that how old he is?
No, I think he's not. I thought he was 38. I don't know. I wonder how
old is John?
30s. Oh, I just had it right here. But yeah, a week ago he had elbow surgery to shave off bones.
36. Yeah, 36. I thought he was a little bit older than that.
Yeah. When you start getting surgeries, when shit starts falling off.
Bro, that's me now.
Yeah.
Well,
that one injury for sure. John Jones said he had surgery to shave bone spurs in his left elbow.
So exactly that, right? So what I just told you about my pain in my elbow, I have like 6 or 7 of those in my elbow right now. So imagine, and that's where all the nerves are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, some days I'm in
And they
pain.
can't go in there and scoop those out?
Not before this fight.
After the fight, you think?
I'm definitely going to mention it. I'm definitely going to mention it.
Have you done any stem cells or anything for that?
No. So I had a torn labrum, and I got some stem cells to try and fix that. And then, honestly, it really agitated it where, and then the fight got announced and everything. So this fight is sooner than I wanted it to be, in a way. But you don't say no to something like this. Like, this is a good fight for me. When I say good fight, I think that this is a fight that I'm very capable of winning at this point in time with the trajectory I'm on, with all the, people call it hype, but I fucking earned it. This isn't hype. This is called I paid my dues, and I was out for a year and 8 fucking months and made a comeback. Made my comeback fight with a broken left hand. Still knocked that dude out, which was Derek Brunson's wrestling coach. Came back, knocked out another guy. You know what I mean? So
you
I
had a
earned
broken
it.
left hand going into that fight?
I broke my left thumb in half, like right where the joint is, and I still went in there. And I remember my coach was like, "Yo, we got to bite down. We just got to do this, man. Like, you do this, you're going back to the UFC." And it was the first time I ever worked with my head coach, John Marquez.
How far out did you break your thumb from the fight?
I think it was 9 days.
Oh, God
Yeah,
damn.
so bro,
Christ.
when they grabbed my hand, like the commission grabbed, like the medical tent, and they grabbed my hand, I was like, ugh. But I wound up getting it. I took an XL glove or double XL glove because, my hands aren't that big, but it was terrible. It was terrible.
Did you find a way to tape it in some way?
Yeah, I mean, we still taped it up like it was a fight, right? So I still had tons of pain, but the pressure stopped me from feeling like it was like floating around. So, and I actually threw it like maybe 3-4 times in that fight, just out of like habit. And but yeah, I mean, first fight back, year and 8 months, break your left hand. I have the X-ray for it, and then let alone the nerves, I had to come back. I'd never thrown my right hand in a real fight, and man, it was awful. And then 3 weeks later, I was playing basketball. I love playing basketball, and fucking broke my ankle. And the UFC calls and says, "Hey, you want to fight on the Contender Series?" So when I say I've had injury after injury, and it keeps going.
What do you think? Like, maybe I shouldn't play basketball. Maybe I shouldn't do
Yeah,
stuff
so I don't play
outside?
no. Yeah. So, but But here's the thing. My theory on life, it could be wrong. I don't want to cheat myself along the way to do the things that I still love, Like, and if I have to stop, if I have to live so fucking careful, I'm going to develop that habit to live like a fucking hermit crab.
Right.
And that's not me, man. I get on a motorcycle, I'm going 205 fucking mile an hour.
Oh, Joe, don't do that.
but that's me, bro. I'm a thrill seeker.
You remember Diego Corrales?
No, I don't know.
Follow boxing?
No.
Diego Corrales was like, he was
So
involved.
the guy that's a paraplegic?
No, he's dead now.
Oh.
He died in a motorcycle accident.
Good job, Joe.
he was a big boxer. He's famous for the one fight. Was it Jose Luis Castillo? Is that what it was? He had this fight with Jose Luis Castillo. It was like one of the greatest displays of guts because he was out, man. I mean, he was out. He was battered. His eyes were swollen. Watch this fight.
He's the guy in the red?
Diego Corrales is in the white with the red stripes.
Okay.
And Jose Luis Castillo, who's also a very tough guy, is the guy in the red. And he rocks him and he hurts him. I mean, Corrales looks like he's done. He looks like he's done. He gets hit with a perfect left hook. He gets dropped. And he gets up. This is like an Arturo Gatti type performance. Like, it was one of those fights where you're just like, my God. He gets up. He is fucked. He's fucked. And Castillo catches him again. It looks like the fight's over. Some referees maybe even would stop it right there. Some referees, you go down again like that, they're waving that off, right?
Yeah.
A lot of referees. And then I would say good call, good stoppage.
Yeah.
The guy's done, right?
Yeah.
Watch this. Corrales' left eye's completely swollen shut, can't see shit, gets dropped twice, looks like he could barely stand. He's talking to the referee. He's like, don't stop this. Don't stop this. I'm good. So he puts his mouthpiece back in. They're giving him some time here, which is nice. Gets back out in there. He's still fucked, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not recovered.
He looks bad.
His legs don't look.
And Castillo's a very big puncher.
Yeah, he looks like he's with it.
And he gets clipped again. This is like an all-time classic performance.
Oh, he's got him.
This is really like Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti.
Castillo punched himself.
And then all of a sudden he comes back. This was like from the verge of defeat, and he catches him with the left hook.
Yeah, Castillo's done. See that look at his face.
But it's crazy if you think about how done Corrales was, and then the referee stops it there.
He stops.
Crazy, crazy, crazy comeback. Well, Diego was a wild fella. And
it's crazy hard.
He died on a motorcycle. So
yeah, so
please,
I've heard so many bad stories. But like you don't get into a car. I'm going to give you my thought, right? You won't get into your car, the car we talked about, the Camaro.
Yeah.
You won't get in that and be like, man, I could die driving this. Now, the dangers of it.
Yeah.
You know how fast it is and whatnot, but you'll never, like, I could die going in this cage.
Right.
I could get kicked. I could have one eye. I could be paraplegic. I could have my face broken, and
I get it.
You know what I mean? So I don't do things thinking that I'm going to fail. It's not in my brain. Like, I don't know. I just won't do that because
I'm not worried about you.
I'll get
I'm worried
scared.
about the variabilities of the other people on the road.
The people I
texting
can't control.
And
Yeah,
driving
yeah.
and drunk and all that nonsense.
Well, it makes you feel better. I don't have one right now.
Good.
And
Nice.
I got rid of it. So I live in a condo, so I got rid of it because I was going to put it in the house, and I was like, oh, my landlord wouldn't like that. So I was like,
you're gonna ride the bike right into the house?
I was going to sit it in the living room, but I didn't do it, so I got rid of it. Yeah, but. Yeah, I'm a thrill seeker, man. I love cars.
Will you tell me about your Evo?
Yeah, I got that Evo 8, baby. Wide body.
Yeah?
Yeah, big turbo.
You got a picture of it?
Yeah, I do. Dude, it's nice.
Send it to Jamie.
It's
you get it airdrop it to him. That's a fucking great car.
All right, cool, because I got my tag
Those are
on
great
the back.
cars. So you built that, right?
Yeah. So we have it had a 4G64, and now I'm going 4G63. So I'll send you 2 pictures so that you can see the front and the back.
For people who don't know, explain what that car is.
So that car is an all-wheel drive 2006 Mitsubishi Evo.
It's a wild little car, man. Super light, crazy handling.
Did I not save your number, Jamie? I'm going to send it to you, Joe.
Can airdrop
Okay,
it.
send
Can you
it to
see
me.
an
And
airdrop?
does the airdrop work? Can you see Jamie on the
All
airdrop?
right, let me see. Yeah, 1 second.
I'm looking through your Instagram too. You had other awesome cars on there, but not the Evo.
Jamie's, there he is. MacBook Pro?
Yep.
Cool.
Got it.
Got it? Yeah, so that's been my therapy, right? So I've always wanted to be in the cars. My neighbor, when I was young, his name was Henry Papiano. Good dude. Like, honestly, I love him because we don't talk all the time, and I haven't talked to him in years. But, yeah, that's my baby.
That's
man.
a wild little car,
So
dude.
it was built, the body and the paint, that's an actual P1 McLaren paint job. It's the real
wow.
actual paint of it. And obviously it's got the Voltex on there, the wheels. So I bought the car built as is with a 4G64 in it, but now it has a 4G63.
How many horsepower does that thing have?
That setup was the 4G64 block, so that made estimated, from what I was told from who I bought it from, that it made 808. Yeah, it's got a full roll cage.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
That car's got to weigh 2,000 pounds.
Now, man, let me tell you. So
what does it weigh?
It's like almost 4,000 pounds.
Really? Is that heavy?
Yeah, I think it's 38 to 4,100 pounds, something like that. Dude, that is, yeah, you like my tag? For body bags. We got JP bags, baby. So cars, man, I'll smile all day. I could be around cars all day. It's definitely something that's like a therapy for me. It's how I found, like, I don't know, man. I love it.
808 horsepower is
It's
nuts.
the most agile car. So I've driven the Lamborghini Aventador, which was a dream car of mine. Thanks to Royalty Exotics in Vegas. They always hook me up every fight. Yeah, man, they're going down memory lane.
Yeah, I was trying to find your car. I figured you would have.
That's a wild car, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first Corvette I ever bought. It was a C5 Z06. Stock as hell.
Oh, those are fun cars, though.
It was a turd. But
They're fun, though.
Yeah.
They're kind of plasticky.
Yeah.
the
But you know
interior
what? I have to
sucks.
say, my dream car was a C6 Z06. I wound up getting one. And then I didn't like the interior compared to that one.
Right.
Because I like the leather. I like the old look.
Yeah.
I don't like the plastic look of
Cheap,
a lot of
yeah.
modern cars. But
Well, Corvette nailed it with the new interior. The new interior is perfect.
yeah.
The new
so the new interior is
amazing.
cool, but I hate the C8 look because they took away from the traditional long snout, rear wheel drive. Like now it's a
Right.
mid-engine, short snout. Like I'm not a fan of it, and I can't fit in it very well.
Right.
So
That
I don't
makes
like
sense.
it. That's why I will never buy a Lamborghini. I'll never buy a Ferrari. I won't
don't
buy a
fit in
Porsche. I don't fit in it, and I think Porsche's ugly. But that's just me.
Really?
Yeah,
How
I'm
dare
not.
you.
I know. Yo, I will say driving
How
a GT3
dare
is
you.
amazing though. But the Evo, man, I've never driven a car that fun in my life.
It's wild what you can do with some of those Japanese cars, like with some of the things that people do to GTRs.
Yeah.
Like they have GTRs that are like 2,000 horsepower.
Yeah,
which
it's
is just
insane. Call them
fucking-
Godzillas.
Fucking insane.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a drag strip?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've raced?
No, I've never driven a car on a drag strip. But
Now,
I've
would
been.
you?
No, I'm not interested in doing that.
No.
I've seen too many of them go like this. Wee.
Oh, like float up in the air?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah,
That's
that's
scary.
I think you're making a little bit more than 1,000 horsepower, though, doing that.
Oh, to go up in the air like
Yeah.
that?
I mean, they probably got no weight in that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? I'm not gutting a car. I don't want to.
I saw a 67 Corvette recently do that on YouTube or Instagram or something like that. Just took to the air. Just the guy was just and then up in the air.
See, I'll get
Just
out of it.
start
I'm
flipping.
not that ballsy. Like, if I start feeling like I'm lifting,
What
I'm
you
out.
got? What you
saw
got,
it?
Jamie?
No, this is crazy.
What was it? Yeah, that's a scary proposition when you're going that fast in a straight line. Your car just catches
What's
air.
the fastest you've been in a car?
On a racetrack?
Yeah.
I think I was 178, 179.
Watch the Camaro on the
Pump
left.
those numbers up, baby.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Look at that thing catching air. Yeah, there it goes.
Yoy.
Look at that guy. That
Yeah,
guy's
yeah, yeah.
launching through the fucking air.
That
son.
guy said, fuck it, full send. Hey, what
Yeah.
a great wow, look at that.
Wow. He returned.
It's nuts though.
That's crazy. But yeah, he was
That
fully
dude did
in
some
the
good
air.
shit in his life to not die there.
Yeah,
Look
right?
at that.
He was fully in the air.
Bro, I'd be so mad. I'd be so
I love
upset.
that
Like,
car,
my
too.
car's messed up now.
Such a beautiful car.
I've been watching Car Masters on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you
No, I
ever
haven't
watched
watched it,
bro.
no.
It's like they take like rust buckets, pieces of shit, and like everybody would write off. And they do shit like Zephyrs. They put a 383 stroker motor in a Tesla.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah, I love watching that stuff. That's like what I watch before I go to bed.
Yeah, I love cars.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a sad day when there's no cars because I feel like that's coming. I feel like they're trying the World Economic Forum and all these fucking psychos are trying to make it so that no one owns a car. And Teslas are great, man.
No,
Have you ever drive
I
one?
hate them as far. Yeah, like I've driven them. Don't like it. I don't like the automatic braking. I don't like all the like gadgets. Like it's like a big ass iPad. It's not,
It is.
I want like a knob to turn.
Yeah.
But I'm also American muscle, like old school. I'm also import too, but.
No, obviously with the Evo, but I do love muscle cars. If I had to choose like one car that gives me the most joy, it's old muscle cars.
Do you have a particular car?
Not really. I like them
You don't
all.
have a favorite out of everything you got?
No.
You don't have a specific?
No, I have a 70 Chevelle that I fucking love.
Yeah.
It's so raw. It's a 454 and it's pumped up. It's got like 650 horsepower. It's the perfect balance, big ass fat tires.
Yeah.
And it's a roadster shop car too, so it handles and brakes real well, but it's
Good.
just there's something
So
about
that's
those
exactly
cars.
that's exactly what my neighbor had. He had a Chevelle, and that's what started it for me. I remember being maybe 6, 7 years old, and we were poor, man. My parents combined never made more than $30,000 in a household of 7 combined. Yeah, I mean, I remember him ripping down. He had an orange one. He did the motor himself, and he would rip down. As soon as he put me, you know what? I think that's what got me hooked on this adrenaline shit. He took me for a ride one time. I'm like, my dad's a deadbeat, bro. I'll never get to do this. So I was like, I want the neighbor to be my dad. But he took me for a ride first time I went over 100. And I was like, I was just remember being like, oh my God, dude's so cool. Like, so
And it's the sound, the feel of those things too. When I was, I think I was like 16, a buddy of mine picked me up in his friend's car. And his friend, they were, just picking me up. We're going to go somewhere. And his friend had a 70 Chevelle. And it was perfect. It was just cherry. It was black with white stripes, the tuxedo one, which is what I have. And I remember thinking at 16 years old, how can this guy own this? How is it possible that a person could own this perfect car? I couldn't imagine it.
you remember how old you were?
I think I was 16. I was
Yeah.
in high school for sure. Yeah. And I remember he ran out of gas and coasted. He ran out of gas at the perfect time and coasted right into the gas station. I mean, it was like, this guy's the coolest guy that's ever lived.
Yeah.
He ran out of gas. He's got the perfect car. He coasted into this gas station. And I
Here's
just remember
what I
looking
like
at
about the car people, the car world. Because if you're a car guy, somewhere along the line, I mean, especially if you're building your own cars, you're blue collar, right? Like, they could teach you shit. You know, I have these nerds today that they're calling AAA or I don't know, fucking AA. I don't know what it is, but they can't even
Right.
change a tire.
Right.
They don't know where's the oil go? It's
Right.
like, bro, you call yourself a man, but you can't change a tire. You can't change oil. Like, you don't know what to do if the car starts. Like, you don't know anything. You're useless. Like,
That
it's
is the
just-
thing with modern cars. You open them up and it's a computer. There's just so much going on in there. And, there's an ECU that's powering everything, and that has to be.
Not unless you got a standalone.
That's true.
No, but that's actually the issue I think I'm going to run into with this new build on the Evo. I think I'm going to have to get like a standalone and get it tuned there. Get like a Motec or something like that, and because there's only so much you could do with a stock ECU. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like safety fails and shit like that. I'm sure they probably have it on some of your cars, but you got to have your safety fails so you don't blow it up again. But
Gordon Ryan?
yes.
Gordon Ryan is now obsessed with Vipers. He's trying to get me to buy one of these Calvo Vipers.
That's my dream car. 2017 Dodge Viper ACR. You seen the fucking Pennzoil commercial?
Yes.
Bro, I like borderline
Yes.
cry watching that. I'm like,
Find that commercial.
Man.
That car is a monster. But there's a company, it's Calvo, right?
it's
Calvo
the best looking.
Autosports?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah.
There's one of the they're around the country.
Well,
the
there's
Calvo,
one
right?
there's one company that's in town that jacks them up to like 2,000 horsepower.
Oh man,
It's the
dude, this shit
Pennzoil-
makes me like
Pennzoil
want to cry.
Films
I
present
can't wait one day. Mark
the
my
last
words.
Viper. It's absolutely an amazing car.
It's just the sound.
Look at the way that thing looks. God, and that hood, the hood with the vents in it,
It's that wing too, though.
everything.
Everything.
That-
Remember the TV show where the Viper changed?
No.
No.
It was like 1995. I thought it was real. It changed from the red convertible to the yellow hardtop.
No.
I'll show
You thought it was real? How old were you?
10. I don't fucking know.
Look at that
thing,
fucking
man.
thing.
And that's how I drive too.
I bet. Look at that fucking
I'm just
thing.
not as good as that guy.
And you can't get that bitch in an automatic. It doesn't exist.
You don't that fucking automatic. You don't get a
Yeah.
fast car in automatic, man.
Not that one. not that one. Look at that motherfucker. That is a goddamn monster. That is an American monster right there. Woo!
It's got that
sound on
supercar
this is
sound, but
That V12. Good Lord. Is it V10?
I think it's a V10.
V10.
Yeah.
Look at that fucking. Look at the fire coming out of the sides.
Whoever they hired to do this sound
Woo!
That's beautiful, man.
Whoever drove that knows how to fucking drive. What a car. If you don't get excited by this, move
Bro,
somewhere
my heart
else.
starts racing watching it.
Yeah, you need to go to another country.
Bro, I get more
motherfucker.
adrenaline from driving like that than fighting.
Look at that fucking thing. Good Lord. Good Lord. God, that thing is amazing.
Dodge, let's hook it up, dude. You need to have me on your team.
I love Dodge. I have a Ram. I have a TRX that I got from John Hennessy.
Do
It's
you
got
like that?
1,000 horsepower.
Do you like a truck that fast?
Fuck yeah. I love that one. Yeah. I love that one.
Yeah,
I
don't say
love
that out loud.
TRX.
Sean Brady would be upset with his
Why?
slow-ass Ford Raptor.
Oh, those are great too.
No, they're good. He's got a nice
Raptors
one.
are great. The
He's
new
got a
one,
nice one.
the Raptor R, the V8 one is insane. And Hennessy's doing that too. He's taking that up to 1,000
The
horsepower.
Raptor R twin turbo?
No, it must be. It's either supercharged or twin turbo. I don't know.
Well, I mean, regular Raptors are usually turboed, so
The
I can
regular
imagine
Raptor's a
that
Turbo
that's super.
6, and this is, I think it has the same engine as the GT500. I think that's the idea behind it, because it's 700 stock from the factory. And then Hennessy takes it, and he jacks it up. So I'm 99% sure it's
You
supercharged.
don't remember this TV show?
No. No, I never saw this. You thought this was real, Jamie?
I was 10. I never heard of a Viper in my life.
It just changes the color.
Did you believe in Santa as a kid?
He did until he was
For-
12.
Damn.
Big Viper.
Yeah,
that was
see,
a
there-
TV show?
Bro,
Yeah,
growing
it
up,
was like on NBC or something.
growing up, we didn't get the joy. There was no fucking Santa. There was no
Yeah.
like, hey, motherfucker, we ain't got money. You're not getting no gifts. Like
Right.
we used to have the church like donate us like gifts and whatnot because I grew up Christian and whatnot.
Well,
There was no Santa.
It's horrible for you as a child, but I firmly believe that being poor as a kid is also a supercharger. It's like a superpower. There's something about it.
You're grateful.
You're grateful, and you can't replace that. You can't. If you have someone that grows up wealthy and then they become successful in life, they're never gonna have that same gear as a person who grows up poor. There's something about growing up poor. It sucks.
It gives you a burning desire for the things that you want, and you want to figure it out. I mean, these kids that are born into money, it's actually someone we both know where it's like sometimes and even people like back home. It's like I know people that have kids where it's like they don't know how to like fit in because status and money and shit like that. So that could be damaging for a kid, you know. And
Yeah.
it's good to have them in sports. It's good to have them in school, curriculums like after school activities. And I always tell everybody that's like got a boy if he's got an attitude problem, like put that motherfucker in wrestling, man.
100%.
Wrestling is the best thing for a troubled kid.
100%. 100%. Because there's no easy wrestling.
No, man.
There's
But
not-
you have to show respect to your
Yep.
coaches. You have to show up on time. You pay if you're late.
You get broken down, too.
You get broken down. And it's good.
That's
you know?
the thing. They're getting the broken down. And then the kind of status you get from that, you really feel that. That's earned status. It's a different status.
It's a team score,
Yep.
individual, grading. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's cool, man. Wrestling, like my life got real tough once I left home. So my parents divorced at 15. Like I testified I never wanted to see my mom again, and then I
Jesus
left with my
Christ.
dad. Yeah. So the other branch of that story is you got the abuse from at least my earliest memory of like 4.5, 5 years old. And then till 15 years old, then we leave. I go to PA with my dad because my mom basically hated my guts. It was such a divided family. It was the girls and my mom that we lived like the farm life. Like I grew up a farm boy, and against like my dad and the fighter, right? Like I was a puppet, and I just mimicked everything that he said. But I chose my dad because I didn't want to lose wrestling or jiu-jitsu or
Right.
boxing and everything. But then
the
when I
things
got
that were
up,
giving you meaning.
but then when I got up to PA, he had already had a girl he was laid up in that it was like, that's all that mattered to him. And then she worked. he doesn't work. You know what I mean? So he found somebody to prey on, to manipulate, to do his thing, and then it was like, I don't need my kid no more. After I went to court and I didn't understand the consequences of testifying in court against your mom and being dragged to court out of school and that humiliation. I didn't talk to my mom and my sisters for years. And we don't talk currently. We haven't talked since before I got in the UFC. And we haven't talked since before I broke my arm.
Wow.
Because I knocked my sister's boyfriend out for being a meth head.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, man, I mean, once I moved up to PA, that was the worst. Like, that short span from 15 to, like, 18 was like, man, like, I was out.
So where were you staying during that time?
So I stayed in Media, PA. I lived in it's Pennsylvania, but it's like 25 minutes outside of Philadelphia. So it's like the suburb city. Honestly, it's like a bougie. It's not bougie, but it's like a towny, nice town. And, everything was new to me. I came from a school of 330 kids. I got into high school. I was in a school of like 1,600 kids across 4 grades. But they were all like preppy fuckers. Like, kids down in South Jersey where I grew up, they were all fighting each other, like beating each other up, jumping each other after school. Up here, everybody would talk shit, nobody would fight. So it was like it was a weird thing for me to adjust. I didn't have friends. I didn't have a phone like until I started getting a job. And yeah, man, it was weird. It was really weird. I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, and my dad, his girl at the time, he's married to now, and her 2 daughters, we all lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. Oof. You know what I mean? So it was just like it was a terrible living situation. And then the beatings, man, I swear to God, he used to beat me up just to prove that he could beat me, and show his girl that he was tough and he, like nobody could fuck with him type of deal. And it was just like, man, so it got real dark, man, and started like stomping me, broke my teeth. I had two crowns, because of him, because of breaking my teeth. And I would curl up. Like, he would punch me like a grown man, but I would curl up. He would throw uppercuts. Like, that's how intent this guy was on getting me. And the last fight we had, it was over a fucking game called Uncharted 3. And we were playing co-op. But because I would get more kills than him, this is the kind of shit he would rage at. And mind you, throughout all these years, right, he's on SSD. The reason being, he had a car accident. He was an oil truck driver. I forget the story of who blew the light, but when he was going through the light, he got T-boned, or he T-boned somebody, blew out his back, had to get surgery. Apparently it failed. Whenever he wanted to jump up and whoop your ass, though, dude wasn't crippled no more. So it's crazy, and he would go box 15 rounds, but throughout 2004 all the way until I was 15 years old, and then some, this man was on narcotics all the time. He was on Vicodin, Percocet, Oxy, and he definitely was addicted. There was never a time that I didn't see it. The dude used to have like 60 fucking bottles of it, and he would take medicine and then he would drink 2 Yinglings. And I think when I look back, I'm like, man, like that shit'll make a motherfucker angry. And yeah, I mean, it just got worse as I got older. But I remember the last fight that we had. It was, I remember I used to look at him and be crying and say, like, how come you don't love me? Like, what? I got this empty hole in my chest because I didn't understand emotion. So I'd like try to plead with him, like, yo, like something's wrong with me. I got something. I got a hole. I got a hole in my heart, like, or my chest. I don't know I don't even know how to explain it. And the things he would say in rebuttal would be like, fucking kill yourself. Your feelings don't matter. Shut the fuck up. And when I say jump, you say how high. Like, there was no remorse for anything he did, and I think that's why I despise him. The dude hurt me. He hurt me for a lot of years that I had to repair. And even then, I still carry over some bad attitude problems. And, the dude fucking, it got to the point where it was like, either I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to kill him. And finally, he beat me half to death the one day. I mean, beat me half to death. And I packed a bag of clothes, and he came out. He pulled a fucking knife on me, said he was going to kill me with it. I shoved him, ran out the fucking door, never went back.
Jesus
Never
Christ.
went back. But
how old were you then?
16. I was just turning. I was either 16 and the week after 17. I don't remember. But I was within 2 weeks of turning 17 when I left, or I just turned 17 and then left. So it was in the month of September.
God damn.
And yeah, so I left, slept in the park for a couple nights, and then I wound up standing up for a kid, a black kid that was getting called racial slurs, and that was my first friend I had made. And yeah, I mean, he wound up having he definitely was on the spectrum. Like he wasn't the smartest kid. Unfortunately, like he had some things that people would pick on him for. Like being overweight, and he would say some weird stuff and whatnot. But yeah, he was the first friend that I developed, and his brother was in juvie for arson, trying to light somebody's house on fire, and he was adopted by a white man. So, but the house that they lived in, bro, it was like the most disgusting living environment you could fucking think of. Cat piss infested, hoarder of comics that were all destroyed from cat piss. Like every part of the house would have been sticky. Like your shoes would stick to the fucking floor. And there was shit everywhere. The smell was like a pneumonia. Maggots in the sink because he refused for about 4 years to fix the garbage disposal. That's how long it sat there, broken, live wire on the overhead of the oven. So I lived in there, and I wind up I used to run papers to the courthouse and make like $75 a week. So every time I would make a little bit of money, and his dad would give me some money sometimes to like try and help like straighten up the house, and I would buy bleach and fucking bleach shit and try to clean. And bro, it was disgusting. Like you could wash your clothes 6 fucking times and it would still smell like cat piss and pneumonia. And it was a very embarrassing, very humbling way to live. And I lived off instant food, like microwave food, for the next 2 years. All my wrestling high school years and the next 2 years that I was there, everything was either donated food from my wrestling coach, Will Harmon, who fucking, man, that was my saving grace when I went to that school. You know, I don't want to miss that part. Like, that's important to me. That man is the whole reason I'm in the UFC now.
Wow.
So,
goddamn, dude.
Those were the living conditions, man. Like, I mean, fucking. And my wrestling coach would come to the house, and then I had truancy officers coming after me because I missed so much school. It was either DIFUS or some child services at a certain point that was like, who's taking care of you? Who's your caregiver? And, you know, I had a nasty response for him, and nothing kind of came of it. But it was like, do I look like I'm fucking unhealthy? I remember slamming the door in the woman's face because I thought they were going to try and take me from the house. Oh. But yeah, man, it was shitty times, and you know, life beats you up in ways that you're not prepared for, and doesn't change. No matter how much money you make, no matter you're here, there's always going to be a problem. It's just how you roll with it. So,
well, for sure. But having been through the problems that you've been through, I guarantee you know how to navigate problems better than most people.
I voice it a lot, you know. People always think I'm bitching. But I'm bro, and I am. Sometimes I bitch, you know, because that's my way of coping. I'll put it out there so it's not stuck inside. And that's something that's worked for me. You know, I say a lot of things that I feel. And as long as I get it out, I'm happy, you know what I mean? At least I'm settled. I don't have that, like, anger, like, waiting to explode, you know? That's the worst.
Did you ever think of where you would be if it wasn't for martial arts in that same
I would kill
situation?
myself. I would kill myself, 100%. I struggled even when I had it, you know? And that's the...
It's one of the only things that gets people out.
Yeah. I just didn't see a life for me, man. I was so stupid. And when I say stupid, like, the whole time that my dad's a stay-at-home dad, and I want to give credit to my mother, too. You know, my mother, I never really felt like loved me that much. And, you know, it is what it is. But my mom worked her ass off, and that's where I get my work ethic. That woman held 2 jobs. She did what she could to provide. She wasn't, you know... She wasn't a bum. She tried, and she did the best she could with a dude like that. You know what I mean? She never had another man. Still hasn't had another man to this day. She was married to him for 20 years. They had 5 blood kids, and yeah, I mean, I owe my mom respect for that because she's a hard-working woman. And didn't matter if she used to work at ShopRite, Home Depot. Those were her 2 jobs, and then CNA, and you know she did what she could, you know. So I respect her for that. And yeah, I mean, fuck, man, that dude was not teaching us homeschool is my point for years. You were afraid to ask him to fucking give you a spelling bee because he was sitting at the fucking computer playing games. So if you did it, what the fuck do you want? What the fuck are you bothering? Like, it was always a huge like explosion. So you're a kid, and you know from getting beat by this person, it's like, I don't want to make him mad. He might fucking slap me. He might hit me. He might do something. So all of us were scared. We didn't fucking learn anything. I tested to get in public school. Motherfucker, they held me back. I was dumb as shit. Like, it is what it is. So, yeah, I mean, so my point is making light of something, dark, but then coming back to the dark side, man, if I didn't have MMA, I don't think I would be successful. I don't think I would have been strong enough. I don't think I would have had confidence, and I think life would have broke me, man. I think I would have taken the easy way out.
You're in a great position now, though, man. I know you've gone through hell, but it's I really do think that it's prepared you in a way that nothing else does. Just for the ability to overcome adversity, the ability to deal with things. And again, that the superpower of that horrible childhood. It sounds like a terrible thing. I would never wish it on anyone. But when I know that someone has been through that and then you see them succeeding, like, that's a special kind of person. That's a person that's got some extra gears.
Yeah, you're right. But who taught me that? The people I reached out to. I was so broken, but I never stopped asking questions. Like Sammy Orpiza. No, he was someone I always looked up to. He's 13-3. He fought in Bellator. He wound up retiring because he had kids and he was working 2 jobs, and it just didn't, it wasn't something he wanted anymore, right? Mm-hmm. But he was someone I always idolized. Eddie Alvarez was someone I always idolized. I still talk to him today,
Eddie's great.
He's awesome. But I would always see him go to the gym, go home. He didn't bullshit. He didn't go out clubbing. He didn't do all the party shit. I'm sure he did at a time, right? But when he was with Jamie, he started having kids. I didn't see him, and I didn't know him terribly well. I knew him in the gym really well. I didn't know him personally outside of the gym. That's where I always saw him. But, yeah, I had a lot of good examples, right? And then, man, as soon as I went to high school, I met Will Harmon, that guy housed me for 4 years. Because after I left that place, I had, bro, I don't care if this is ratchet, right? You want to talk about trash. I had a friend. And I had a girlfriend, right? Worst girl I ever met in my life. Leave it at that.
Okay.
I'd never known somebody. So I moved out of this place that was basically a shithole. I started working at Verizon. It was my first job. And I said, hey, either I'm going in the military because I don't know what the fuck I'm going to be with my life, or I'm going to fight. If I get this job, I'm going to fight. I interviewed somehow. I must have been a good talker. Fucking got an interview job. No job experience. Fucking idiot. Somehow I landed it. Got a job, started working, wound up moving out, moved into a condo across the street from my high school wrestling coach, who, if you've seen the documentary, is super impactful on my life. So I move across. Then I moved from there after a year. I moved to another place. Was only there for a short period of time. The whole relationships wound up falling apart. I was trying to fight while knowing somebody that I thought was a best friend had fucked around with my girl while he was engaged to his girl. And that was my fucking living situation. Ugh. And I was so, eager to have a best friend that the motherfucker was never a best friend, right? And it was like, man, I got the heartbreak that I got every fucking turn. And this was 2 weeks before I had one of the biggest fights that really put me on a trajectory. Like, man, I'm gonna kill everybody I'm fighting. And so that happened 2 weeks before. Then that was when I broke it off with my dad. He came over and he got in my face one time. And then it was the only time I never put my hands on him. I never fought back. I never even put my hands on him to this day. And, it was one of those times where you know how I don't know if you've ever had this moment where somebody gets in your face and you're a kid and you have the chin quiver and you're like fucking nervous. And it's almost like you're trapped in fear. Man, he said some shit about putting a bullet in my head. He said he was going to come back and put a bullet in my head. I was like, yo, motherfucker, before you get to that car, I was like, I'm going to bury you. Like, that's it. Like, I'll take out every fucking part of my angry being to destroy you. You will not make it to your car. Like, that's it. You're done. Like, you die. And I think it was the first time, like, that motherfucker knew. Like, he always knew I was better. Like, 16 years old, I could submit him. He was a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, but I could beat him. And I think that started to intimidate him. And I think that's why the beatings got worse and worse and worse. Yeah, I think he was scared that I was going to come, like, rise up against him. But, yeah, I mean, that was the last time. And, yeah, I mean, shit, man. So I've just had, like, betrayal. But I haven't lost faith in people. I met a couple really good ones that changed my life, and you never let them
The
go.
horrible thing about having horrible people in your life is it can ruin your faith in people. But the one thing that it does do, it makes you really appreciate good people.
Yeah.
If you can get past it, you could you don't appreciate sunshine unless you experience a lot of rain. You have to feel cold to appreciate the warmth. You get spoiled otherwise.
So that's exactly what I had to explain to somebody the other day. They're like, why do you live where you live? Why do you train where you train? I'm like, man, you know what it's like to go to the hood where our gym is. So our gym's in the hood. It's on a 4th floor building. It's like a warehouse type shit. It's actually a pretty cool building.
Yeah, Sean was explaining it to me.
Yeah, and like we're nothing fancy, man. Like John doesn't, like John Marquez is my head boxing coach. And then Jonathan Webb is my jiu-jitsu coach. And Jonathan Webb's is in Jersey, and John Marquez is in Philadelphia in the hood. Like, man, we're not a fancy facility. We have a fucking square cage. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have tons of money, and we're in a shitty area, but John does it to help. Like, he does it to promote. Like, all these other gyms, all these other puppy mill fucking gyms that want to brag about this and that, and they got nice state-of-the-art shit. We don't got no state. We got some hand-me-down fucking weights, and we're a grind, man, but we work fucking hard. And I like that. I like being in the trenches so that when I come out, I appreciate it. When I go home, I appreciate where I live. You know, I don't live in the best place, but it's like I live in a place that I feel safe in. And for many a years until my wrestling coach took me in for 4 years, I was not safe. I hadn't like fucking pissed myself till I was like 12 fucking years old, like thinking there was something wrong with me. I grew up thinking that I had a mental health issue, like something. Like I thought I was stupid. Like I don't know. I don't want to say a certain word.
Have a
I thought there was something wrong with me.
You were tortured mentally.
My dad convinced me that there was something mentally wrong with me.
Well, it was him. It was your environment.
But how do you know any better? You know, imagine thinking that for so many years, and then when you're homeschooled, I didn't have fucking friends.
Right.
I didn't know, so we were all the weird kids. And then when your response, when you try to express emotion, one of the things, because this shit haunts me to this day, because I wish I could have heard him. My sister said she wanted to kill herself because she felt like her dad didn't love her. And we go and we pick her up, right? This is the kind of guy he is. We go to pick her up. The whole family goes to pick her up. My mom, my 4 sisters, me. We go pick her up from school. My dad seems really concerned. Like, yeah, I don't know why she would say that, you know, but you could tell. It's like, you could tell he was burning inside. So we lived like 10 minutes from school. We get home. We all get out of the car, and we're all like quiet. We're all quiet. We're like, man, something's about to go down. Like, soon as she opens the door, like gave the key, grabs her by her hair, grabs her by her pants, fucking throws her, chucks her in the fucking room, starts strangling her in, threw her on the fucking couch, and then starts strangling her in between the cushions. And then we all have to fight him to get him off. That's your response to your daughter who's suicidal. You know what I mean? So like when I say, and we were all mean to each other, that made it even worse. We were all mean. We were all caring in that moment because we knew like this isn't right. Seeing him hit my mom, cops being in our house 12 times a year and shit like that. I grew up dysfunctional. That shit fucked me up. And it fucked me up when I was toxic. I was, negative. And I'm still like toxic and negative, right? But like you learn who people are. When you see that kind of shit, I can have conversations, like a conversation I want to have. Like you can talk about anything. You're open-minded, like, but you got your beliefs, right? Like you're a real person. I don't like everybody because when somebody's got this fake face. And my dad was one of those people. He had that fucking fake face, man. But the second he could get you in that door to hurt you, he would take it. And it's like, when you grow up with that, it just makes you angry. And then that's why it's like, you're going to take half my purse. This motherfucker's my toughest test. You're going to take it from me? Come on. Try it. And you might be, if you beat me, you're one of the best in the world in my mind. And I can honestly say this. Through all that shit, I have such a strong confidence in myself where it's like, man, ain't no man beating me until it's been done. It's not happening. I have a loss on my career as an amateur because I was 174 pounds fighting at 185, training twice a week with a full-time job with that girl that fucked me up. My first pro loss, struggling with suicide, depression, things like that, still hadn't settled that beef with myself. First time I ever went into a fight, was absolutely dominating the fight. This guy's name's Jonathan Potty. Love the guy. Super nice guy. Still talk to him. Would never want to fight him again. But it was a good loss for me. And then you got my arm break. I got one real loss, man. And I lost to myself. I lost to my fucking mental health. I lost before I got in.
Right.
So it's just.
You're in a very good spot now, though. And I want to talk to you about where you fit in the UFC's middleweight division, because you're what I would call on the cusp. You're a guy, the Jack Hermanson fight is going to put you into a great place if you win that. But you're in that conversation.
If I win that,
where
2 more fights and a title. 100%.
That's what I'm saying. Within the next year or two, you could be fighting for a title.
Yeah. But I'm going to be smart, man. Mental health is something I fight every day. And the reason I keep bringing it up is because I'm going to fight and I'm going to win. And then I'm going to take some time. And then I'm going to go on vacation and I'm going to settle some things I got in myself. Within myself. And
you feel like that's something that you have to do, that's something you're putting off?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when you say, do you work with anybody? Do you have a therapist or?
So I just have a lot of people that I talk to close. I've tried therapy 3-4 times, and I've never really gotten a benefit from it. I don't know if it's just because I haven't met the right one, or they haven't been able to get through to me. I'm not an open person where I'm an open person. I can talk about these things, right? And I may get upset about some of them, and I still evoke strong emotion from it. But just because you're listening doesn't mean that I trust you with what I'm telling you. You know what I mean? For you to give feedback and then me to receive it in a way where I think, okay, let me apply this. So sometimes I feel like therapy is just another fucked up human being telling another person, hey, you shouldn't feel like this, but or you should try this and try that. But that's why I love cars so much. That's why I love cars. I love nature. And I also want to take time because I haven't taken a vacation since I've been in UFC and a couple years before that. I haven't taken a vacation since before I broke my arm. And I think part of, one of my biggest things isn't holding the UFC title, but one of my biggest things is buying a beach house and that supercar I've always wanted, that Dodge Viper, and, having a loved one and going and traveling the world before I'm dead. I think that's what my idea of peace and happiness is, and I'm desperately searching for it. And
like I said, you get a lot of power off the horrible experiences of your childhood, but the key is to not be trapped by it forever. And that's where some people you have to figure out a way to come to grips with your life and just accept it and to move forward in a positive way. You're obviously a very good guy. You're obviously an incredibly hard worker, and you're obviously very successful, and you're obviously haunted by your childhood. But someone could probably help you develop the tools to put that aside. It's never going to go away.
Yeah.
It's always going to be inside of you. That monster, he's always going to be in a cage.
But I'm okay with that.
But
I don't want to
good
forget
to be. You're not going to forget it, Joe.
Yeah,
you're never going to forget it, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, you're never going to forget it. But the key is to not let it consume you all the time. And that is where someone can probably help you. You're never going to forget it. There's a monster that's going to be inside of you whenever you need him. That's not going to go away. It's just not going to go away. But to not live with it all the time would be very, very beneficial for you, because then you would get all of the positive attributes that come from having a horrible childhood, which is this unstoppable drive, this fury that you can unleash inside the octagon. It's very different than other people's. But you can get to the point where it doesn't consume your everyday life, and it's not something you have to think about all the time. And you can think about positive things. You can think about growth and expansion and progress. And I think you're very capable of doing that. It's just so many people, they rightly so, dwell on the horrible experiences of their childhood forever. And there comes a time where that doesn't serve you anymore, and it rots at you, where even with success, you're still angry. Even with success, you're still bitter. Even with success, you still want to talk about it, and you want to live it again, and you want to go over it in your head. And that can rot you out from the inside, because at a certain point in time, your mind can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, I would say I grew emotionally thin when I lost my first pro fight. That's where I was.
Right.
I can talk about it now and I can evoke those strong emotions, what I remember with it, but I forgive them. I view my dad now as, somebody, like I said, I don't respect as a man, because I don't think he's the definition of what a man's supposed to be for someone that teaches their kids useful tools and whatnot. But I've forgiven him because I think it's beyond his help because he never got help because he never settled with his. Now that is a man that has aged terribly because of his past and his demons that he's never let go. And I don't want to be like that.
Well, you're not going to be like that.
Well, I'm already not like that. I'm Joseph Oliver Pyfer the fifth, and I'm going to be the last because I think I need to make a lasting impression for my name. And I'm the first person that's ever, like none of them have been college educated, including me. At a certain point, I become successful enough. I want to go to college and get some type of degree. And
do you read?
I'm not a big reader, but I watch
documentaries.
I watch podcast, the Joe Rogan podcast.
Don't rely on this for education.
Yeah, no. It's you're right, but it brings a lot of your podcast brings a lot of diversity, a lot of you have to be open minded to listen to every episode, right? You have to there's a lot of different perspectives from a lot of different successful people, right? So. But now I'm really big on listening to people that have been through traumatic things. I like listening to it a lot of like Army vets that have spoken, like Nicholas Irving, the first Black American sniper who had 33 confirmed kills or something like that. I watched his documentary and to hear the trauma that he's gone through and the things that he's done and how he is still making a good impact for other people. That's a powerful dude. And my life is very common across the world, and unfortunately,
yeah,
it's very common. So I think I find light, and you always hear me say, I don't know if you've recognized, but after every fight, I don't want to be a role model, but I want to be an inspiration for the kids. That it's hey, stay in a sport, don't let that sport go, and whatever that unspoken is that stops you from quitting, follow it. And if it's in wrestling or if it's in soccer or if it's in basketball, keep doing it.
Yeah.
I used to get laughed at my whole life. I would sit at cafeteria. I stopped sitting with kids. I would play chess every day with my wrestling coach during lunch because kids would laugh at me every time I said, I'm going to be in the UFC. Everybody would snuff, like giggle at it. So I just removed myself, put myself in a better situation. I didn't like this friendship. I got out of it. I moved to a place where I could pursue fighting. I found people that were chasing things themselves, right? So I think it's just about putting yourself around the right people and constantly wanting to evolve. If you stop evolving, you pass away.
That's a giant part of it, putting yourself around the right people. Either it's through watching documentaries about the right people, if you don't have access to the right people, or if you're very fortunate like yourself to get to a gym where there's great people and to live my
gym is my family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My gym is my family. I know Sean and shit, and I always talk about him. Because when I joined that team, man, I was not in the UFC, and I don't think a lot of people had a lot of faith in me, but Coach John took me in, never charged me a penny, and I couldn't have afforded it if he did. And I made the switch before I even got the second surgery. He cornered me, and I feel it. I can look at them and know that they get emotional too. We're fighting for something big here,
right?
Fighting to change my life still. And
so there's a big fight coming up this weekend. Obviously, Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. What do you think about that? That's your division.
Yeah, both very beatable. That's what I think. I like Sean Strickland. I like DDP too. I'm gonna go the American way. I want to vote. I hope the American boy keeps it here in America. But
Dricus is a very unusual guy.
He's a very unorthodox power puncher, forward. But there's a lot of openings to clip him, and he doesn't have a granite chin, in my opinion. He could take a shot, but I don't think he's fought anybody that could test his chin yet. So, besides, that's not true. Let me shut up before I get hated on. Right. Robert Whitaker was a dog, but he had Robert's number, man. He had a good plan, and
he's deceptively technical.
Yeah, he's just exactly. So he knows where. I think he's a guy. Let's put it this way. I think he's a guy that knows what he's good at and knows how to get there quick, and that's why he comes out hot because he knows how he's going to wear on you.
Also, like yourself, he's very big for the weight class.
I haven't seen him in person.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, I haven't seen him.
He looks
in
like
person.
a fucking heavyweight.
But you know what? I watched this interview on the way here on the flight, and he's not stupid. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
And I have respect for all of them.
I don't think you get that far if you're stupid.
Yeah, no.
You don't get
you'd
to
be
the
surprised, man. I mean, there's some dumbass people in this sport.
Not at the top.
Yeah, not at the top. Not the
Yeah.
cream of the crop.
You
Yeah,
don't
they're
get
not
to that level.
Yeah.
You have to have some innate form of intelligence.
Yeah, 100%. Because
Sean
you also
has
have
a
to
lot
be
of
coachable.
intelligence. Yes.
I have a lot of respect for Sean because Sean, when I fought Gerald, was in the back, and even before I was in the UFC, he said, "Hey, you want to come train?" And I said no because I knew it was like, man, like I don't like training with people that I'm gonna have to fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I got respect for him. I like his story.
He's got a crazy style.
I don't like listening to him talk. He sounds like a drunk person to me. So I'm not like but.
Well, he also, like you, came from a very abusive childhood.
Yeah, no. And, man, look at what he's done.
It's amazing.
Look at what he's done. And he's not a style that you're like, oh, my God. But you're a style like, man, this is unorthodox, and it works for him. He knows what he's good at. He's confident in what he's good at. And he's put himself in the fire against some of the best to figure out that it works. So, yeah, I mean, I do think that DDP has the bigger advantage in this fight.
In what way?
In the way that Sean has been chin checked a few times. And I think, like, competitively, I think that Sean is the easier guy to beat.
He's a hard guy to hit.
He's a hard guy to hit, but when you hit him, he reacts big, I think. And I think a style like DDP is perfect for it. I think he's going to make him, like, it's unorthodox like Sean. Mm-hmm. He could be standing right there, but he's really good at his range. He knows how to, you'll just miss. You hit his hands, you hit his forearms. He lifts his leg. He teeps you like standing straight up. It's really strange. And he's actually a hard guy to keep down. I think people underestimate Sean Strickland's jiu-jitsu abilities, right?
No, his jiu-jitsu is very high level.
But, yeah, I mean, they're both good, man. That's what I think. I think they're both good. But, yeah, I mean, I hope the belt stays here in America.
Were you shocked when DDP beat down Robert Whitaker like that?
I was surprised that he did it the way he did it. I didn't count him out. But I didn't have him winning. You know what I mean? I definitely thought that it was going to be close. It was going to be tough. I really did. A lot of people counted him out, and I was like, that's crazy, bro. This guy's not – I think he was 20-2 or something like that. Yeah. I was like, man, this dude can bring it. Like, he's going to make it a dogfight. And I don't care how technical you are. When somebody makes it ugly, your energy level's down, and you're not that technical no more. So, yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty impressive.
I was very impressed.
I was surprised he could take him down.
Yeah, he's a big guy, man.
Yeah,
like
I gotta see him, man. I keep hearing that. I want to see
big.
Him.
I mean, I don't know what he walk. You said that when you start your cut, what do you walk around at?
218.
218.
Yeah. Oh wait, start my cut fight week.
Yeah,
I'll be like 208.
Okay, but when you're in training before you start any cut, you're about 218.
Yeah, 218, 220.
And the heaviest you get is
that.
That's it.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
It's like my cap. Mm-hmm. I won't go any bigger. I'll have to go up a weight class, and I might in a couple of years, But I think I would take the proper time to not be disrespectful and fight a fucking guy as big as Johnny Walker or somebody like that,
right?
Or Ankalaev. They're thick bone, thick guys. I think a lot of people underestimate like. There's bone density that comes with a certain size too.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have to build myself a little more muscular than these guys. I have the frame to do it. And take like a good 6 months to a year to build myself to then make that move up.
Do you find it increasingly difficult to get to 185?
I do. Yeah, it sucks. It's rough.
So it's
definitely not
208
easy.
The week of the cut?
208.
And then,
but I'm already like
shredded.
I'll show you like what I look like.
And are you using who are you using to do this? Are you using a nutritionist and a weight cutting expert? No,
I'm just not. I use the guy Castro at UFCPI who's been great, and Charles a little bit.
Okay, but UFCPI, those guys are experts.
But I don't I keep them updated with my weight cut as I'm coming down. But I don't do I don't know how people fucking water load, man. I don't like it. I don't like the water loads. I do my cut, I know my body pretty well, and I get down, but it's just I don't know.
Is your cut primarily sauna, or do you bike ride with a wetsuit on?
I train twice a day still.
Yeah?
I sweet sweat, do a couple rounds, pad work, get the sweat flowing, do a couple ground and pound, wrestling drills, and then do a couple ground and pound rounds, and then I'll
take
hop
in
the
very
sauna.
little water.
Take in very little water. The proper nutrition to kill the sugar cravings and the hunger and shit like that. But yeah, I do. I've been getting better and better and better and better at it. But it's still hard. It's still very hard.
And do you have a protocol as far as rehydration?
Yeah. So I've been drinking whatever the UFC gives me. like their rehydration, and then I'm really big on like sodium and potassium intakes and whatnot, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I have a couple drinks that I drink, but it's just like a BPN electrolyte. Try to get that back in there. Try to get as much salt as possible so I can hold what I'm putting in my body.
And what do you try to weigh day of the fight?
Whatever my body's happy at. I don't want to overeat, and I don't want to overdrink where I feel so bloated or I feel so heavy. But I probably walk in around 210, 208. So I blow up.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So when I fought Gerald, I was heavy. I think I was like 209 when I walked into the cage. But by the time I faced off with him by 4 p.m., I was like 203, 204. So I was like, I put it on quick, and I don't lose it. Like, I'll wake up the next morning, and it goes right back to where it needs to. So I have a good system, and I think it's only going to get better. But man, you know, I'm not going to put it out there, but I have never had a smooth camp. I've never had a smooth camp, and this is going to be no different, but this is where I've been built. I've been built in the fire, and, you know, Jack's a good dude. It's going to be a tough fight.
I don't know of anybody who has a good camp. They say they have good camps, but you talk to them, there's like a rib and a neck and a knee and an
everybody
ankle
across the states lately, though, has been sick as fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a lot of colds going on.
I've been going as far as to say somebody's fucking poisoning us, because there's no way that everybody I fucking know got sick at the same time, and everybody's sick for 2-3 weeks with it.
Well, there's a COVID strain that's going around right now, and then there's the flu. I mean, it's the winter, and you know what a lot of that is vitamin D deficiency, especially when you're dealing with cold climates.
I take vitamin D.
Vitamin D and vitamin K as well.
I take vitamin K,
K2.
vitamin D, and I take it with magnesium, because what I was told is if you don't take magnesium, it doesn't mean shit.
It doesn't mean as much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Magnesium's important. Do you take like a suite of nutrients? Do you know what to do as far as like how much to take of this and that? Do you have some?
I just have like my morning routine of everything that I've taken, and I got it from the UFC PI. You know, they gave me a sheet, and then I've been doing it for long enough now that it's like I know what I need. So I always just
UFC
hit 'em
PI
up.
is such a great resource.
It's a great resource.
It's so amazing. When they first built that, I was like, what are they doing?
Bro, I was fucking blown away. When I was out there for Brendan Allen cornering him, I'd never been in the cafeteria. I always heard people talk about it. I'm like, where the fuck is it? Like, I never knew how to get to it.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, man, I was so upset. I was so mad at myself. I'm like, I've been in this shit for a year and a half now, and I didn't know there was a fucking cafeteria everybody was going to but me.
Super healthy food, amazing state-of-the-art facility, the best stuff for recovery, the best stuff for training, amazing coaches.
You know what I will say, though? So I think it's a great place. I'm not comfortable training in a place like that.
Really? You like it dirty?
I like a fucking rat. I'm a ratchet motherfucker. Like, I'm wearing fucking sweatpants under this. Like
Rocky when he fought Drago. When he's out in fucking Siberia running with the log on his back.
It's not me, Joe. I don't. I got an Oura ring to track my sleep, right? And someone that made that like important to me was Sean, because my fucking sleep sucked. But now I'm like so conscious about it. Sean's taught me so much, man. Sean has taught me so much. That's a guy that needs to slow down, in my opinion. I've never seen somebody train that much. Like, I picture him as like a fucking disgruntled, old, mean motherfucker. Like, just like, I didn't fucking have it. Like, he just didn't do anything fun. Like, but that's not true. He does fun shit, but like, he loves working out. Me, it's my job, and I love working out, but that's not all I want to do. I want to go fuck off sometimes, race and you know, ride bikes, and
Sean wants to train. He wants to do jiu-jitsu competitions when it's all done.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he needs to get on the sauce when he's done and get fucking go fuck people up, man.
Well, I mean, you think about him beating Craig Jones in a grappling match, and again, they didn't have heel hooks, but that's just because the UFC won't allow that. But beating Craig Jones is a gigantic accomplishment.
Yeah,
I mean, that guy is elite in terms of people who just train grappling, and for him, a guy who's training MMA, fighting in the top echelon of the UFC. He's fighting against some of the best. For him to go and beat Craig Jones in a straight-up grappling match that's incredible.
And look, right? So it is incredible. And that's the Phil Rowe, you owe me money. He bailed out of a bet he was supposed to, and this was years, whatever, before I was in the UFC. And, I met Phil Rowe playing with Randy Brown on Call of Duty.
Oh, really?
Yeah, playing Call of Duty.
That's crazy.
Randy Brown's how I met him. I trained with Randy Brown, too. But yeah, no, I was so confident in Sean being in that match because, like I said, I've gone with Corey Anderson. I've gone with some, like, heavy, big dudes, and I do well. I hold my own. I do more than that, right? Like, but man, bro, I'm lucky if I take this motherfucker down like once a month. I can't do it. You know what I mean? I'm a
He's
heavy
an elite
dude.
grappler. And you really saw that in the Kelvin Gastelum fight. Kelvin can wrestle, man. And he was just all over Kelvin.
I mean, like Kelvin's like a hit or miss, man. It's so weird. He
It's unfortunate.
I think Sean, it's just
Kelvin should have been a welterweight from the jump.
he should have been,
And he
but
had
like,
some
did you see the way he was
advantages at
falling?
85. Yeah, yeah.
It looked like he just couldn't like. It looked like the second Sean picked him up or like threw something, he was always so off balance.
Well, he might be dealing with injuries. He's also had a very long career in some
man.
fucking crazy wars. He just had that war with Chris Curtis. He's had wars with Adesanya.
And he looked good at Chris Curtis.
He
Against
did.
Chris Curtis, he looked great.
Yeah, and
That
Chris
was,
Curtis
Miami.
is a beast. Yeah, it was a good fight. And it's just, Kelvin, I told Kelvin a long time ago, dude, I go, if you're 170, I think you're a potential world champion.
Yeah.
But at 85, the difference between a guy like you and a guy like him, just the physical frame difference, like Adesanya or Pereira or any of these really big 85ers, they're just so much bigger. Drekus,
Yeah.
the difference, like, Kelvin's my size.
You're not just fighting talent, you know.
Yeah.
Let's say the skill is matched. Now you're fighting size.
You're fighting everything.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not-
Kelvin is fast as fuck with his hands. He's got beautiful fluid combinations with his fist, like that 1-2 that he knocked Bisping out with.
Yeah.
The motherfucker is amazing. And the fight with Adesanya was a war. People forget he had Adesanya in all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, but
Kelvin's a
he's always
beast.
his bodybuilder's always been so like, it's always been so weird to me. I mean, he's missed weight so many times, and he's I don't know. He just never looks like he fully committed. I don't know if that's
Right.
just his genetics, the way he's built, but it's like it doesn't look like he's terribly sucked out at 70.
No,
Like
it doesn't.
he looks like he went through a cut, but like
It didn't look like he lost body fat, is what you're saying. It
Yeah.
didn't look the bit difference between him at 85 and him at 70.
I feel like he
wasn't
like really
stark.
fucks off maybe in his diet. I don't know.
There has to be something going on there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's working with a strict nutritionist. It's really got it all dialed
hey,
in.
listen, like I told people too in my post fight too, like that was Sean's first time being overseas and whatnot. And look, he knows where he's best, right? I'm not saying I don't think he's like the best striker in the world by any means, but I think he's the best grappler for MMA by a long shot. It's not just me, bro. This motherfucker could put any of us on our back and you're not getting up.
You could see when he's grappling, it's very high level.
He
Very
knows
high
what
level.
you're doing.
Yeah.
He knows where he wants you to go. And
Yeah.
you think, oh, I might get up. And then you're stuck. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's very frustrating. I hate going with him.
Well, you could see it in the fights, man. Someone who really appreciates grappling. I really love watching that guy fight because it's very high level. And his striking is very good too.
Yeah.
The Bilal fight sucked for him, but will ultimately be good for him in the long run because it's just a painful, horrible lesson.
Man, I'll tell this is what I don't care if he gets mad. This is what I'll say. I think there was a certain coach that's no longer on our team that I never fucked with that shouldn't have been in his corner and doesn't know how to fucking, like, bro, the head coach, the guy that was supposed to, I'm not going to say his name.
Okay.
He was supposed to run, like give him a structure, tell him what to do, like he just kind of like didn't train him and didn't develop a game plan with him like Coach John did everything. And Coach John's just the striking end of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that's where he lost the fight, but the dude shot one time.
Right.
You shot one time and that was it, So I think Sean he had a mental bug, and I think Sean's more of like an introvert where he keeps things to himself and he's very like his private life's his private life. And, and I can respect that versus me. I'm outspoken and I'll say what I'm feeling. And I said it the week, bro, I was fucking sad as shit when I fought Abdul. I didn't turn it on until I started walking. Actually, that's not true. I didn't turn it on until I saw him fucking like doing all this like dancing shit. Like I was like, you think so, huh? And then that's when it turned on, right? But some people just can't turn it on, man. And I think that was one of those times where he just wasn't like he was doing good. Like it was a back and forth in the first round, and then it just
You
kind of
also
fell
have
off.
to give credit to Bilal. Bilal's
Yeah.
a big fucking tough dude, And
Yeah. I'm not a Bilal fan. I don't have to give him
he's a
credit.
tough guy, man. He's a tough guy.
He beat my teammate. I don't fuck with him.
Well, I get it. I understand that. But
No,
like,
but he is tough.
objectively,
I hope he
he's
gets.
very
I hope
tough.
he gets the my feelings for him aside. I hope he gets.
How could he not? I don't understand. How is it even a discussion that he doesn't get the Leon Edwards fight?
I mean, listen. If I was Bilal, I'd be upset, right? Like I got poked in the fucking eye. I lost I lost the fight. Like,
yeah.
Like let's run it back.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like Leon's like saying he's not going to get it and shit like that. It's just weird.
What is Leon saying?
Like about him not getting it. Like he doesn't think he deserves it or some shit like that.
Really?
I think that was when he was about to fight Colby. Like they were saying, oh, Bilal's going to be next. And he was saying like he doesn't deserve it or.
The only way I could see him saying that is if he thinks of pay-per-view points and that Bilal's not a big sale, that he's not going to sell a lot of tickets. But
who else is next then?
There's no one else there.
Shavkat?
Well, Shavkat, but Shavkat needs surgery. He went into that fight with Wonder Boy fucked up, and that's why he didn't throw any kicks.
Yeah.
And then you have I think, look, everybody's angling to try to get Conor, right? And
For welterweight?
Yeah. Listen.
Bro, he's small.
I understand. But wouldn't you take it just for the money? I mean, that's what Leon
Would I?
feel
Yeah,
like.
if I was Leon,
sure.
yeah.
Leon would feel like he has a big advantage. You know, he's a legitimate welterweight.
He would dust Conor.
And then he'd make a lot of money.
He would
And so
dust Conor.
if he could talk Conor into that. But Conor and Chandler is interesting too. You know, that I guess it's actually going to happen.
That's so
and it's going to
cringy
happen
now,
at
though.
your weight,
Bro.
which is bananas.
Listen.
That's bananas.
Somebody said something to him about, hey, like, we got a no-name in me. I would fight Conor. You want to fight 85? Shit, man. Change my life. I'm going to fuck you up. I will fuck that dude up.
But he's fighting Chandler at 85,
you know the word?
who's not an 85.
You know what I'm not used to yet, Joe? The casuals that go, are you in Conor's weight class? You fucking, like, what?
You got to tune out the casuals. You have enough conflict in your past.
So
and in
that's
your
what
mind.
that's what I struggle with. My past, I'm cool with. When I don't think about it every
Do you
day.
read comments?
Sometimes, because I'm like sometimes.
Don't
not all
do
the
it,
time.
Joe.
Bro, it
Joe, don't do
motivates
it.
me sometimes.
Does it really?
It does. It
You
does.
really need motivation?
I do because I don't always want to fight at it. I'm not fighting out of anger in my past.
Right.
I have that anger because it's just I'm bred like that. Like,
Right,
that's
but
what I
you're
was
also
built for.
fighting out of ambition.
I'm fighting out of ambition.
And
I'm
drive
fighting.
and
You know what my
discipline.
biggest drive is? Like I said, that dream car, that dream house, that loved one, that travel life. Like I want, bro. I want to live life. I want to see the world.
A life that you didn't have when you were young.
I'm scared,
I
bro.
Totally get it.
I'm scared to grow old and never see what this world has. And I mean, like sights wise. Like I want to go to Ireland. I want to go to Switzerland. I want to go see places.
I hear you.
And
Yeah, you'll see those things.
Yeah, man.
I really believe it.
Right.
But don't read the comments.
I did almost fight one of the fans. I
No,
did.
that's what I'm
I
saying.
tried to get him to come to the gym. I was like, man, this would be great fucking content, right? Like, but then I was like, man, it's corny. And I actually think the guy would have followed through. He was that fucking stupid.
There's a lot of dummies. There's so many videos of guys showing up at gyms and online internet trolls getting head kicked.
Bro,
There's
I'm
so
not-
many of them. I just watched some recent one with some guy went into a Muay Thai gym and the dude hit him with a leg kick and then fucking shinned him in the head. And-
KO'd?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he brutalized him with a leg kick, and then the guy didn't move right, and then stepped back, boom, a head kick, and flatlined him. Just some dumbass internet
that's hard,
troll.
right? Like like on that subject, that's hard, right? Like I'll read the comments sometimes because I'm petty. Like I went back after I beat Abdul, and I was like, yeah, talk that shit now. Like say something. Like, you know what I mean? Just to those few, I saved 3 particular
You
comments.
have 'em saved.
I did, and I went back.
Joe, that's so crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm an elephant, bro. When you
I
hurt,
get
when
it.
You
You don't forget.
So, but nothing you get taught to deal with, right? Is what to say, when not to say. People always give their opinion. Like even before coming on here, don't talk about a certain thing because I have my beliefs, right? So we stay in a safe space. We can talk about it. There's plenty of
What
things.
are people
for us.
telling you not to talk about?
Well, you don't talk about politics. You don't talk about people's parents. You don't talk about religion, shit like that. You know what I mean?
I would say don't talk about other people's parents. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
But politics and religion, that's just a part of
Well,
life. Anybody says you shouldn't talk about politics and religion.
Well, that's the thing, though. If I give my political view on this, it's like it opens up a door. Not you'll get a lot of new like people, but it opens up the door for all these other wide. It's such a diverse, like such a controversial argument.
Yeah.
It's like I'll have this conversation with you off camera all day long. I got my beliefs, and I think you know where I'm at. But it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's just certain things you don't.
Well, this is a very divided country, more so than I'm 56, and never in my life have I seen this country
That's
more
crazy.
divided.
That's crazy.
Never.
You look like you fucking figured out how to reverse time, man. You're talking about me being big. You're fucking wider than me.
I stay healthy.
Yeah.
TRT and a lot of vitamins, and I'm always doing something. I'm very active in taking care of my body.
You wish you fought?
No, No,
You wish you had a fight.
I had kickboxing fights. I had 3 kickboxing fights, and I had about 100 taekwondo fights. And I
seen your fucking spinning
unfortunately,
back kick, bro. I'm not fucking. Must stay out of range on that.
I unfortunately also came up in a gym that didn't spar smart. We sparred hard. We fought. It was like a lot of knockouts. Some guys
when
got
did you
knocked.
start?
I started martial arts when I was 15. That's when I started seriously. I took a little bit of it before. I took karate when I was 14. I fucked around a little bit before that. But when I was 15, I became obsessed. And, just wasn't really good at anything other than art. I was a good artist. But it was nothing that really made me feel like I was a special person until I started doing martial arts. Then when I started winning, and I became obsessed, I was training every day, and I started getting really good, winning tournaments, and then I've realized, like, oh, I'm not a loser. I just never figured out what to do. And now I've found a thing to do, and I know that if I just work hard, I can be exceptional, and I can get better at it. But I was also, when I was making the transition into kickboxing, first of all, there was no money. We're talking 1988. There's no money in it. And there's no money in kickboxing. I wasn't a good boxer. I didn't have a lot of boxing experience. And some of the guys that I was training with were going into boxing, particularly this one kid, Dana Rosenblatt, who went on to be the New England middleweight champion. And he beat Vinny Pazienza. He beat Howard Davis Jr., who was
Vinny Pazienza fought Roy Jones.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was the only guy.
Broken neck.
Yeah, well, he did. He broke his neck in a car accident. But when I was watching those guys, one of the things that I was seeing was brain damage. And I was seeing guys where I knew them from 5 years ago, and then I know them now, and I was noticing slurring, a slowness to the way they were thinking. And, I was just seeing people didn't just spar. They fought in the gym. And, there's a lot of that from the early days of MMA as well. Particularly like Shoot the Box, those guys just beat the fuck out of each other. Like the old Militich fighters, those guys beat the fuck out of each other. There was a lot of camps where the amount of damage, like I've talked to Schaub about this too, about him training with like Shane Carwin and those guys back in the day in Denver, they beat the fuck out of each other. And the damage that you take in the gym, that shit counts. It's real.
Yeah.
And in that way, I'm glad I didn't, because I started seeing, I was a lot of headaches and that kind of shit early on, and I was like, and there was no future. I didn't have a future in fighting. It didn't exist. So when the UFC came along, which was 1993, I'd already stopped fighting. I was already doing stand-up comedy, but I was like, oh, they figured it out. This is it. Somebody figured it out. Because back then it was always like, how do you make a living as a martial artist if you want to compete? There's no money. You have to open up a school. The only thing you could do is teach at a school and then compete in tournaments, and there's no money in the tournaments. But then when the UFC came along, also, we realized like how much of what people were doing was nonsense. How much of what people were doing was wasted time.
So that's how it was when Eddie was coming up. It was like barroom brawl type fucking training.
Yeah.
And that's how I grew up when I seen it. And then my dad used to be pitting me at 12 years old against 16-year-olds. And I remember I fucking thought my head was bleeding.
I'm sure. And probably was.
Yeah.
That kind of training, it teaches you how to be tough and how to deal with like a real fight. And you definitely get more comfortable with really throwing. But the consequences of those shots that you receive in training are legitimate. Jerry Quarry, you know who he is? No. Famous boxer, fought Muhammad Ali back in the day. Just a crazy tough dude who just walked forward and just ate punches and took a beating. Just a tough dude. Well, he had a bunch of fights, and at the end of his life, he was a vegetable. He was just gone.
Yeah.
Well, his brother only had like one pro fight, I think. And his brother never had a pro career. His brother was just as fucked up as he was at the end of his life. And it was all from the gym, all from just gym wars. I was watching this video last night on Wilfred Benitez, and they were talking about Wilfredo Benitez during his day was just an insanely slick boxer. Turned pro when he was 17, was a world champion shortly after that, was an incredible defensive boxer out of Puerto Rico. And at the end of his life, man, where he is now, I'm like, he's bedridden, he's a vegetable, basically. That's him now. I mean, it's so hard to see,
That's a
man.
shame. Yeah, I heard.
Last fight of Wilfred Benitez.
Man,
The pride of Puerto Rico, the ailing boxing great, is now fully dependent on his sister who watches over him, their humble apartment.
So that's exactly another reason, right? Like when you want to talk about what we were talking about, me not
Yeah.
going 200 mile an hour.
Yeah.
I could go into like that shit. I don't like reading that stuff because that sits in the back of my mind too. I don't want to be a fucking vegetable.
Of course.
Right? But I'm not knocking our pay, but we don't make what any other professional athlete makes.
Well, you do at the high end.
At the high end, right? But, you know, I'm 3 fights in, and I'm fortunate to be getting the main event. Man, I don't know, but I was told that there's only one other person that's done that in my division. And I don't know who it is. And I want to know who it is.
I don't know, but obviously there's a shit ton of hype on you. You know, you've got a lot of great hype on you.
Which, you know what's crazy? Doesn't do anything to me. Like, I don't feel like I think DC didn't believe me at first when I made my debut. When I got in the UFC, the weight on my shoulders dropped. Now there's another weight that comes on, right? The expectation and things like that I hold myself to. But I'm like, man, like I don't give a fuck if there's 1,000 people, if there's 0 people, if there's 50,000 people. It doesn't faze me. I don't care about that. I'm so like locked in on your face. Like that's what I want. Like you motherfucker. Like you are the second half of my paycheck. I'm coming for you. Like, and I think sometimes that's where you have really talented guys that don't know how to get past the lights, the cameras.
It's a big moment. You see it all the time in fighters when they make that UFC debut. Some guys just rise to the occasion, and you see them better than they've ever been before in the UFC debut because they belong there. They're champions. They just have to. And then there's other guys that get dwarfed by the moment. The moment hits them, and they're just woof.
Well, you know what's crazy is like the moment hits you, like it's a weird feeling when it's so different. Even for me, sitting as a fan watching. Like you don't realize what that person's going through when you walk out, and it's like a cold sweat because it's a fucking big ass building, like AC. It's like that cold sweat, but you're kind of hot, and then you fucking realize when you're in there, it's like everything's like so amplified, and you're like, "Fuck, man! Like I'm about to get into a fist fight."
Yeah.
But then that's where you make that decision. Like once that finally hits your brain, which we all have it, it's like you either can hone in on what you're about to do, or you can hone in on the fact that like you don't feel like being there.
Right.
And one of the things that I've come to terms with is I think that changed my trajectory of my career and the way I fought, because if you watch my early fights, like I would just go out there and try to like blitz and get out of there and like just fuck you up and knock you out and get out. Like that's what I wanted to do. I don't force trying to knock people out. I don't force the finish. I don't. I just try to wear and then catch you. I know I need one. In my head, I'm convinced you could be Francis Ngannou. I think I need one. I wholeheartedly believe that. And then you got the other aspect of fighters that convince themselves, oh, I can knock somebody out. But they
don't truly believe it.
It's different. Yeah, there's a difference between coaching yourself to believe it and actually fucking believing it.
Well, you have extraordinary power. You know, and what I was saying about the Razak Al Hassan fight is that you showed another level of poise in that fight. It was another level of technique. It was another level of like, this again, it's like, it's very difficult for a fighter to express themselves at like, you know, when a guy's on in the gym and you just go, motherfucker, look at that dude. They just, sometimes guys just look like they're on fire. They're timing, they're everything. Like, look at a world beater.
You're like, who could beat that dude?
Right. Who could beat that dude?
Yeah.
And then it's very difficult to express that inside the octagon. So when you hear a lot of great things about fighters and then you see a performance, you got to go, okay, they got to get over the anxiety. They got to get over the pressure. They got to get over the experience boundary, because you do need experience in front of different styles, no matter what. No matter how well you train and how good your training partners are, you need live experience against really talented fighters to really develop to your full potential. And in the Razak fight, I saw it with you. I was like, okay, he hit another level.
Yeah, I wish. That was a tough fight. It was a scary fight to take because he was tactically behind me and he had all knockouts, right? You know, so there's that in the back of your head. There's that fear, like, oh shit, like
he can clip anybody.
He can clip anybody, right? But you know, in the same token, I just kept it very small. Like I didn't buy into that. It was like, bro, you're a middleweight short guy that is coming up to a weight you don't belong. That's my opinion.
Do you think that he should be 170?
100%.
Yeah.
He does not belong at 185.
And he's not the leanest guy at 185.
He's a thick spark plug built type style. He's a fire hydrant, right? Like he he is a big man at 170. I just think he's lazy. I think he's lazy. That's my opinion, because the fact that I took you down that easy, the fact that I kept you down that easy, bro, I put that choke in pretty basic. And I felt him wilt. I think the slam really was like, what the fuck? And then he got slammed again. And, and
there's
I think
such a difference in size. There's such a difference in size. And I've advocated many times for multiple weight classes. I think the jump between 70 and 85 is too high, and I think the jump between 85 and 205 is way too high. 20 pounds is so big.
It is.
There's so. I mean, obviously Pereira pulls it off, but he's
195 would be
freak.
a sweet ass class.
Sweet.
Man. I think
class.
you get the perfect. You get the height. So I. It's funny. Every fighter will contest to say that their division's the best, but I think the perfect athlete is my size. The height,
the power,
right? The explosiveness,
everything.
If you can. I think I do. I like a Yoel Romero, like that. That you get a taller guy. I mean, he's not the tallest, right? But you get or even a Paulo Costa.
Right.
Like you look at their build.
Right.
Like I think that's the perfect mix between a not too tall, just the right height, big, explosive,
high volume, unlike heavyweights. Yeah,
like
but still crazy knockout power.
Yeah. But that's just me.
No,
yeah,
I see that argument. 85 is obviously a very deep division too,
because there's a big size difference between 70 and 85.
It's a big difference, which is the Kelvin argument. Like when but then when Calvin went down to 170, but Sean's a big 172. His back looks like it's two people's backs.
Strickland?
No, Sean Brady.
Oh, Brady, bro.
Yeah.
He has he's just chest, dick, and legs. It's insane.
His back is like layers of bricks.
He's an ape.
Yeah,
literally his lats like sit like.
He's got so much what you would call like squeeze power.
Yeah,
you can see all that squeeze power.
That's
on him.
Exactly it. Like this fucker, when he gets you in something, you think, man, he's squeezing with everything he's got, and then it just keeps going, and it keeps going, it keeps going. It's like, what the fuck?
But his back, it's like these layers of like muscle. That it's just,
I hate him
when he's like walking. It's ridiculous. He's got an extra back on top of his back.
I don't know what the fuck. I don't know. He deadlifts more than me. He squats more than me. Fuck him. I don't like him.
Big fucker dude. But when you look at a guy like that, like that's a legit 170. Like that guy at 170 is a fucking terrifying force.
Yeah.
Like a Kamaru Usman at 170, that's a terrifying force. And if you're 20 pounds heavier than that, you know
who's a freak at 70 though? Randy Brown.
Oh, yeah.
That's a tall boy. Hey, he could box, man. He could box. I was so mad at the way that we literally said, like, yo, don't exit. Don't exit. You can't exit with your hands down, bro. Like, he's going to swing bombs overhands. He's got to reach you. Fucking did it, man. Like, I think that it
happens.
Yeah, it happens.
You know, Jalen Turner's another one. Like, that dude at 155, that is crazy.
Bro, I love Bobby Green.
I do, too.
I watched it for years. I was so mad at that.
That was horrible.
But he did his job.
Well, that referee,
same thing.
that referee should have stopped that fight 10, 15 punches earlier.
Yeah, the referees, I don't know who it was.
I don't know what happened.
Cheeks,
They're good. That guy, I don't want to say his name, but ordinarily he's good. I don't know what happened. Like, people fuck up. They make mistakes.
Yeah, it happens.
You give a guy a chance. You know, you think the guy's going to survive. It's like we were watching the Jose Luis Castillo fight. It's like
it's a tough job to be in the, to know when to call it because you don't want to take that opportunity from somebody.
Yes.
Like, what was the one fight?
Yuri Prohaska and Alex
Yeah,
Pereira.
man. I was pissed watching it. I was like, yo, like, let him fucking try. He's still moving.
He's still moving. And Yuri has shown the ability to recover. Like the Dominic Reyes fight. He was out on his feet.
Bro, I love Yuri.
Yuri's a bad man.
I love that reel when he's screaming out in the wild.
Yeah.
Bro, I've done that in my truck. Like,
bro, but how funny was Jamal Hill? Jamal Hill, like when Yuri did that thing, like he was outside, I'm coming.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like,
he was in
that's
Brendan
what she said. That's what she said.
Jamal Hill's cool.
He's hilarious.
He's funny as shit.
I'm excited about his return. Him against Pereira, that is a very exciting fight.
Yeah, he had that. I think he beats him.
He might.
I think he beats him. Bro, I think he's deceptive.
Very.
He looks fluffy, but he's quick and he's got snap.
What he did to Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira is a bad man.
Bro.
Yeah.
That dude did not want to lose.
No.
That's a man that wanted it.
He's a bad man, and Jamal put it on him.
Yeah.
He put it on him. Jamal is so good at finding your fucking chin. He's just got this range intelligence, this intelligence of when to strike and when to there's so many of his fights where you watch the movement. He's like a snake charmer.
Yeah.
Like he knows how to put it on you.
Yeah.
You know, the Johnny Walker one. Like when everybody said that Jamal doesn't hit hard, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about?
That is the weirdest fucking knockout I've ever seen. I thought he was
arms go up
fucking.
in the
I thought
air.
he went. Yeah, he like bent forward and then flew back, and I
Yeah.
was like, I've never seen some dumb shit like that ever.
Johnny has been knocked out a lot. And the thing is, like, when a guy gets knocked out a lot, it's like, you got to wonder how much.
Just got his nose broken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How much. Ankalaev was a bad man.
That's a thick dude, man.
Yeah,
That's what I
he was
was
a bad
talking
man.
about when I was saying, like, yo, you got different bone densities. Like, that's a thick guy.
Well, then you got to think of Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz went shin to shin with that dude and fucked his legs up. Like, Jan Blachowicz is made out of rocks. Like, that fucking dude is. And that's another one.
He's
like,
built like SpongeBob SquarePants.
when
bro. It's crazy.
Adesanya went up to 205, like, that guy was too big.
Yeah.
He's too big.
Yeah.
That's a giant jump, man. That's a giant
You think
jump.
Izzy comes back 2027 or sooner?
You know,
I think sooner.
I think sooner. I think, you say things like that because your body's beat up. He went through so many camps in a row. He defended his title more than any other champion.
So active as a champion.
So active. You're going to get, and then I fucking think he just didn't, I think he slept on Sean a little bit.
I think he burnt out.
I think it was a little bit of that,
think he
but
burnt
also I think he thought Sean wasn't on his level. I think he
lot
thought
of
he was
people
going
say
to
it's
piece him up
different.
the way he did with Paulo Costa.
Yeah.
That he was just going to go piece him up. But Sean is so hard to hit. He's so, they did that thing with the UFC where I think it's a mouthpiece where it registers how many times you get hit. Sean spars more than anybody, and he gets hit less than anybody, which is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
That style is very sneaky,
Yeah.
and it's
I
just,
know the Philly shell. I don't do it the same way he does, but
it's weird to see
Yeah.
someone do it in MMA
Yeah,
because
he
no one
walks
else does it.
hands.
Yeah. He walked. It just looks odd. But
well,
he's
but he
always,
also doesn't dip. Mm-hmm. So
Right.
I think that's kind of like a part of his defense. Like
Right.
a lot of people that do the Philly show, like me, sometimes I'll dip into a certain side, and it's like he just kind of stands straight and leans and like
Right.
either puts his arms out. And,
Yeah.
I
The
guess
problem with dipping with kicks is like
kick your face off, man.
Yeah, you zig when you should have zagged, and that shin's coming at you, and this, I mean, there's so many fucking good fights to be had right now. There's so many good fights that are coming up. One I'm really fucking excited about is Volkanovski versus Ilya Topuria.
Ilya's. I like watching Ilya box, bro.
That's a bad man.
He hunts the body. I love it.
He's a bad man. And,
a tough
and
dude.
he's a guy that knows how to take it, too. If you watch that Jai Herbert fight,
Yeah.
where he got caught
Yeah, he
with a
got
head
dropped.
kicked, bad.
He still came back.
Yeah, and that's at 55, too.
I do think Ilya
He's a
wins.
45er.
I do think Ilya wins.
Really?
I do. Yeah. We have me and Sean do like a little tiny like podcast on picking fights and just
This is a situation I wanted to talk to you about this because there's a lot of different philosophies on this. I understand why Usman took that last-minute fight against Hamzat, and I understand why Volkanovski took that last-minute fight against Makhachev. And as a fan, when I was at home and they announced that those changes,
right, yeah.
I was like, oh, shit. But the reality is you need a camp. You are not the same guy with 10 days notice as you are with 10 weeks notice. You are just not the same guy. And when you look at the Volkanovski that fought Makhachev the first time, that was a guy who went through a full fucking camp and was A+, rip ready to go, full gas tank, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
The guy...
let alone what it does for you mentally.
Yes.
You have to go through that suffering to know that you were built strong enough to withstand what you're about to go through. And
Also-
I won't take no fucking short notice fight. I'll die.
I don't think you should either.
I
I don't think
won't.
anybody.
I
I really
won't.
don't think anyone should, even though I like them when they make them.
Yeah.
I'm a hypocrite.
I won't do it.
Because as a fan, I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to see this.
You could be a hypocrite as long as you're a fan.
But it's if I was in Usman's corner, if Kamaru was my friend, and I'd say, don't do it. Don't do it. I think you beat that guy with a camp.
Yeah.
I mean, even at 85, I think he could beat that guy. Because
do
if
too.
you look at the third round, he was coming on strong.
Yeah, at comms that was done.
And he didn't have a camp at all.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference, a giant difference. It's not like a 5% difference. I think it's like a 25% difference.
Probably even more than that.
And when you look at Makhachev, first of all, Makhachev is a fucking monster. He's a monster. You do not want to fight that guy when he's gone through a full camp in Dagestan, ready to go. And he had adjusted to Volkanovski's style. He had a completely good solution. He had a perfect solution. The kicks to the body. He was throwing those kicks to the body. He set up that head kick. He took away Volkanovski's leg kicks from the outside. He took away all the shit that Volkanovski was doing to him that was troubling him in the first fight, and he imposed his will on him.
But that's often the problem, right? You take a short notice fight, sure. Now everybody will sit here and say, man, that guy's got balls. And then that rides off into the sunset, and that's all you got for it.
Or you get Aspinall. Tom Aspinall wins the title on short notice fight, and couldn't even spar. His rib was all fucked up. He couldn't even train, couldn't wrestle. And he's fighting Sergey, who's a monster.
He's a monster, but I think they blew him up.
They blew Sergey up?
I think they blew him up.
Well,
yeah, because they needed the next crazy punching power guy.
Well, he does have that.
He definitely does.
But you also have to look at the Alistair Overeem fight.
But we all knew
fucked
he
him
had
up.
I mean, honestly, Alistair did and exposed his wrestling and things like that. But I mean,
Alistair's the guy. That's the steroid argument. Like that's the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy for legalizing steroids.
That's a fucking. I remember I was so like excited. We couldn't afford to fucking buy it, but I was like, when him and Brock Lesnar fought. And I was like, man, I just remember like the hype video, and I was like, yo, these are two fucking giants. Like Brock was huge,
but then again, Brock probably shouldn't have taken that fight either, because Brock was just a few months out of diverticulitis surgery, where he had to get a length of his colon or his intestine removed. I mean,
thank God, man, I've never had anything
in
like
the
that.
body like that from Alistair, who's a K1 Grand Prix champion and juice to the tits. At 260, Alistair was huge.
Do you think that?
He was fucking huge, man?
Do you think that the heavyweight? Do you think the heavyweight limit should be 285?
No, I don't think there should be a limit.
I don't either.
I don't think it makes any sense. We don't have a super heavyweight class.
I say anything above 330 is too much.
Why? Let him fight.
Because then you're gonna get some fat motherfucker that ain't.
So let that guy get
a single
fucked up.
punch.
Let that guy get fucked up by Francis.
Fair enough.
But I don't think you should cut weight. I think you should be like a heavyweight in boxing. Like when Andy Ruiz fought Joshua. Terrible in the second fight. He was so fat. He was 280 pounds. But that's just what you are. That's it.
Yeah.
This is heavyweight. Heavyweight is heavyweight. This idea of a super heavyweight class, we've never utilized it. There's a weight class above 265.
Why do you think Dana won't do it?
There's nobody there. Who's there other than Francis?
Like
Francis
even like a 195, a 175.
I don't know. They don't listen to me. Listen,
clearly.
if it was me, I would do two things very, very early on. If it was my decision, and it would fucking throw everything into chaos, but ultimately be better for the sport. Number one thing I would do is more weight classes. I would say minimum every 10 pounds.
I agree with that.
And at the lighter weight classes, you could go 5 pounds. Look at what boxing does. Boxing is, 126, 130, 135. They go.
I think it would be the cleanest organization to have every 10 pounds.
10 pounds.
But without, like, boxing, there's 4 different fucking belts at each weight class, like, or whatever it is.
Well, there is kind of with the UFC, people respect, obviously, Johnny Eblen is like one of the best middleweights on the planet Earth, without a doubt. And unfortunately, he's fighting at Bellator, and the casual has no idea who he is. But the guy's a monster. And then
he just got announced to fight Impa. Kasanganai.
Yes.
Me and Impa fought in the same Contender Series when I broke my arm and he won.
Yeah.
I like Impa.
Impa's a great guy. And unfortunately, he's at the wrong end of that highlight kick from Joaquin. Joaquin Buckley hit him with one of the craziest kicks of all time. That jump spinning back kick while he was holding his left leg, that was wild.
Yeah, that was
wild. And Joaquin is another one. Yeah. That dude at 170 is a fucking problem. Yeah. And he's a guy who was a big, muscular guy who decided to fight at 85 and was beating a lot of guys at 85 because he's so powerful. But You see him at 170, his gas tank is crazy. His skills look like he's on another level.
Yeah. I know he was salty. I told him in the back before I beat Abdullah, I said, I'm going to take that bonus from you. They were talking shit on me when I walked in the fucking PI, though.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, but me and Buckley are cool, but
I love Buckley.
Yeah, he was like, man, beat Joe Pyfer. And Abdul was like, man, fuck Joe Pyfer. I was like, that's how you feel. All right. But, yeah, it was funny.
Well,
Joaquim's funny.
Joaquim at 170 is a real force. He's a real force.
Yeah.
And I think as he moves up in the rankings at 170, I think that's his real weight class.
So here's the thing, though. When I look at a guy like Buckley, and he, hopefully he watches this or he doesn't watch this and get offended, but how does he fare against somebody like you still got Kevin Holland, who whooped him.
He did. He whooped him at 185. But I think in all fairness, I think Joaquim is a way better fight. He's a way better fighter now at 170.
Yeah.
Now, look, you get better. You keep the dude is driven as fuck.
Yeah.
He's constantly training. He's getting better. Everybody gets better, or they don't. And when they don't, you see that too. You
I would
see
like
those
to
guys
see
that
Joaquim
plateau.
against a guy like Jeff Neal type of deal. I think that would. I like Jeff Neal.
Well, dude, Jeff Neal's another guy. Go back and watch his Bilal Muhammad fight. He pieced up Bilal back in the day. Jeff Neal was the dark horse. When he knocked out Mike Perry, when he hit him with that head kick, Jeff Neal is a motherfucker when he's on.
I think he's the one that put Mike Perry's fucking nose on the other side of his face.
I thought it was too, but Mike corrected me online. It was Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque did that to his nose. Yeah. Meanwhile, Mike Perry at bare knuckle boxing is one of the fucking dangerous human beings ever.
Yeah.
He's specifically designed for bare knuckle fighting. That guy is
what's funny?
Uniquely qualified to
brag.
do that.
Lorenzo Hunt, you know?
Yeah.
I beat him.
Did you?
Choked him unconscious.
In an MMA fight?
My third or fourth pro fight.
He
said, man, that's somebody's kid. That's somebody's kid. And I choked him the fuck out. Yeah.
That's
I didn't throw a single fucking punch. He came out, threw a wild right hand, took him down, choked him out.
He's a very good bare knuckle boxer.
That was my first introduction because I was still kind of undersized at middleweight. Mm-hmm. He was my first introduction to like an old head that was like 33, 34 that had like fucking grown man strength. You see that motherfucker's head? His shit's like this fucking big.
Yeah, he's stout.
Yeah.
He's bare knuckle fighting is not getting the respect that it deserves.
I think it's too brutal for the common people.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're probably right. But I'm a big fan of the Juggernaut. He's a beast.
Yeah,
I love watching those guys too. It's just because it's such a hard way to do it. I mean, bare knuckle boxing is fucking rough. You see when Rockhold quit, when Mike Perry blasted his teeth out, he's like, that's it.
Bro, honestly, Rockhold is the biggest disappointment to me. He used to be one of my favorite fighters, and he's just like, I didn't realize how fucking socially stupid he is. In an interview, it's the worst shit I've ever listened to. Yeah, you better. I'm coming. Yeah. It's like, you don't know what the fuck to say?
Well, in his prime, the man was a monster.
Yeah, he was a
fucking
beast, man.
Monster in his prime. When he beat up Chris Weidman and won the title.
That was a crazy fight. And then he just kind of like fell off. Ever since Mike fucking checked his shit, I think Mike ruined him. Bisping.
Yeah.
I think Mike fucking broke him, man.
Well, that was a bad loss. And to fight Bisping on short notice and be like super cocky. There's a thing about being confident and being delusional or overconfident or not respecting your opponent. And
everybody deserves it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what happened with Adesanya and Strickland. I think Strickland is just that good. I really do think.
I don't think Izzy like sidestepped him as much as we think. I think people don't understand when you're in there and you got a guy that never fucking takes a step backwards.
Right.
It
doesn't
throws
get
you
tired.
off. You never can plant.
Right.
So you're not hitting your power shots. You're not doing the damage that you would if you were dictating. Mm-hmm. You're not going on your terms when you're going backwards the whole time. And that's why I think DDP has a good chance because he's going to fight for that center to walk forward.
Right.
He's a guy that walks forward. Sean walks forward. I just think because DDP kind of falls over his knee when he attacks, I think he's going to get Sean to move back. But for how long?
We'll see. I'm very interested to see who prevails.
I think he does well early.
The Abus Magomedov fight, I think that fight was one of the most impressive fights of Strickland's fight.
I do too. I think it was underwhelming to people though.
Abus comes out in that first round like a bat out of hell, but he just gassed out. I mean, he was gassed out at the end of the first round.
Yo, he was throwing bombs.
He was trying to take him out. I think Abus was just so used to taking guys out. That he thought he could just put it on Sean. And he was hitting Sean with fucking fire.
Yeah.
He was hitting him. That dude's good, man. He's good. But Sean just wilted him.
Yeah.
He just wilted him.
Yeah, man.
He doesn't get tired.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you have a guy who spars as much as Sean, because the bulk of Sean's training is sparring, and he spars hard. He's so accustomed to that's really like a fight all the time.
He knows himself very well. He knows what he's good at.
Yeah.
And he knows what he likes. He knows what works for him.
Yeah.
So why fix what's not broken? So.
What do you think Adesanya does when he comes back? Like, who does he fight? Like, he's not going to fight Paulo Costa
Well, he's
again.
still ranked, right?
Of course.
Like, but why wouldn't you take him out of the rankings if he's saying he's not coming back for 3-4 years?
Because he's not really.
Right. So,
I mean,
that's why I'm asking that. Is like, I don't think he's going to sit out that long either. Like,
3 years is crazy. That would be a crazy thing to do. I mean, unless, look, I haven't talked to him. He may have like real injuries that need like real.
He fought, like we said, he fought so much. He was active. I think that this fight happens this weekend, and I think maybe 1 or 2 more title fights. Whoever is holding it. I think if DDP wins, there's a chance he slides in to fight Dricus, just because of all that shit.
Adesanya fight. It could be, and also Hamzat. You got to wonder where Hamzat fits in that. I mean, obviously Hamzat beat Usman. They might. They might give it to him. Yeah.
Well, he's got superstar power.
Yeah, he's got
I mean,
superstar
honestly,
power.
like I get like nervous watching him, like with excitement.
Yeah.
Because I love watching him. It's his face. It's the way he looks.
When
It's
he's
his
smiling,
persona. He's like
his
doing this shit.
Leo
Yeah.
smiling at him at the beginning of the fight.
He looks
Yeah.
evil.
He does.
He's got the look of somebody that like, man,
Yeah.
this motherfucker's about it. And he is. He's tough. He's a gangster, man. He goes out there and he does his game, and he's not a quitter. But
Adesanya injured, shares timeline for full-time return to training camp. Last time I don't look returned sooner than many expected, although his current rehab schedule doesn't make UFC 300 fight look very likely. Okay, so he is talking about coming back. So when it says he's injured, does it share what the injury is?
Specific. I was just looking to hopefully share that, but it doesn't say specific.
Yeah, I think there's stuff that he's been dealing with.
So I got this injury, and it'll take a while to recover.
A long time to recover and whatnot. I'm like, what are you telling them? A smart coach who knows the injury exists will try to use it against you. So he's not going to tell anybody what the injury is. So far, I'm recovering very well, and I'm on track. If he's got something that's that big, that's either like knees or back or neck, generally, or it could be other joints. But generally, when someone's got a significant injury like that and they need a lot of time off, it could be a back thing. It could be a knee thing.
could be a gastrointestinal thing.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, I think that's like, I had a lot of struggles with like stomach problems. Like,
Did you?
Yeah, man. I always felt like I had like this crazy acid feeling in my stomach.
It said he's aiming to get back in the gym, training hard by the end of February. That doesn't bode well for fans hoping UFC 300 in April. No, I don't think he's going to be at UFC 300, but he might be in the June card when Conor returns. They're going to want to stack that card up.
How do you think that goes?
Well, I don't like it that it's at 85.
Is it actually confirmed to 85?
I don't know.
I know he said that.
He's
but
drinking wine and talking shit with a Rolex on. Like, who knows? Who knows?
Bro, that man drinks.
He does.
That man drinks. That man does some
Yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah,
that
he
man
likes to
drinks.
party.
I don't see. That's like,
And he's getting older as well. And he's also coming off the sauce, right? So he gets on the sauce, and rightly so, to recover from that bone injury. It's a significant injury. You snap your femur and your tibia, rather, and your fibula. You snap those in half and your ankle's dangling. That's a long road back. And it's been 2 years now plus. And, if he really is going to fight in June, and he maybe just doesn't want to cut any weight, and he walks around at 85. So what I was saying earlier, there's just 2 things I would do. 1 is every 10 pounds. 2, I would try to figure out a way to stop weight cutting. I would try to figure out a way to get fighters to fight. I think almost killing yourself 24 hours before you fight in the cage is insane. Almost killing yourself by dehydration is insane. I think they should figure out what guys actually weigh when they are low body fat, hydrated, and say, this is your weight class.
and this happens because there's not enough weight classes.
Right. And don't you think like they could, instead of having fights scheduled at 155 and 170 and 185, what about more catch weight fights? What about more guys fighting at what their natural weight is?
I don't understand why they don't do catchweight fights, because there's so many like interesting matchups.
Yeah.
Like, one of them was always the GSP versus Anderson Silva.
But Silva's losing weight to get to 185.
Yeah.
And GSP, when he went up to fight 185 when he fought Bisping, he had to put a bunch of weight on. It was a struggle for him. He was eating like 6 times a day. He got sick. He was almost like throwing up all the time. He's trying to eat so much food just to maintain the mass. I think that those fights are exciting, like super fights where guys go up a weight class or down a weight class. But I think the real way to do this is to reshape the sport where you cut what I call sanctioned cheating out. Everybody's doing it. There's nothing wrong with doing it. Don't get me wrong. But the fact that you don't really weigh 185, but you fight at 185 pounds. Like when I interview you and you're 185, I'm like, how? When I interview Drekas, I'm like, how? How are you 185? It doesn't make any sense. You're not 185. You're
Stepped
fucking
on the scale, 185.
Pejeda's fucking huge.
Yeah, he's
How are you
tall.
185? You're not 185. This is nonsense. You're really a 225-pound man. That's what you look like. That's what you are. And that's really what the weight that you should be fighting at. And I think guys would fight better. I think they would have less deterioration of their endurance over the course of a 5-round fight if they weren't fucking radically dehydrated 24 hours ago. It's just, it's avoidable.
Well, that's the other part of it too. Like people that walk around, like let's say I walked around at 85. Well, if I fight at 85, I'm undersized.
Right.
I'm walking around at 85. And
Of
you got all
course.
these fucking people cutting down. Like
There's
if I
only
went
a
to
few guys that
205
ever
right
did
now,
that.
I'm not that big.
Frankie Edgar's the last guy that did that. Frankie Edgar's the last guy that was a champion that walked around at 155 and fought at 155
He's
and
always
beat
undersized.
BJ Penn and Gray Maynard and beat all these guys at his natural weight. But that's really not where he should. And he wound up at the end of his career at 135, which is really probably where he should have been all along.
Yeah.
But, you know, trying to convince guys to do that when there's guys like you that are cutting the weight, that are massive for that weight class, it's crazy. You would never do it.
Bro,
You shouldn't
I
do it.
don't fucking add the weight class. I'm tired of fucking cutting weight. I hate
They
cutting
should
weight.
add the weight class. They should have 185, 195, 205, maybe 215,
You should
225.
see. You should have seen me early in my career. Like I said, I was 174 fighting at 185. I was skinny as fuck. I've always been skinny. I'm still kind of skinny.
What did you do to put the weight on? Did you do
So
a
this
lot
is where I get to plug my guy, right? So I never had a strength and conditioning coach ever. And when I got into, so I was sitting at a light one day coming back from Philadelphia practice at Marquez, and at the light, this guy's like, yo, he's like, you're Joe Pyfer, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you should come by my gym one day. And I was like, yeah, like I was like kind of like, nah, probably not. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't even know you. I wound up hitting him up like, yo, do you do personal training? And he was like, yeah, of course. His name's Adam Ferris. He owns a gym called Pursuit. It's right in Washington Township, like right around where I live, right? I worked with him. We didn't do anything crazy, anything hard or anything. I was skinny as fuck still because I just came off of being, having 2 surgeries and all that stuff. I was still on the road back. And after I won my 50 grand bonus and I won my debut, I was still super skinny. I think DC interviewed me. You interviewed me once, and it was Miami. So from that time when I won my debut, I was still skinny. And I didn't have a chance to ever have like a power program because I took a fight a month after I won the contract. So, and then I didn't have a chance to have a weightlifting program because I had a comeback fight and then I broke my ankle. So I never got a long enough period to build my body back. And I also didn't have a strength coach. Like for some reason, I never thought I needed one. I made it to the UFC on the first, before I continue, I made it to the Contender Series, hitting pads 3 days a week with the man that I brought, Sam Orpiza, who had a full-time job, and we would do it at 5 a.m., 3 days a week. I wrestled with one of my best friends, who literally was only a wrestler, had no MMA experience, and he was like 5'7". And he was just like a sauced fucking wrestler, and that's it. I literally did, and I sparred
That's
with Corey Anderson once a week.
Wow.
That's it. That's how I made it. That's how I was making all these fights, and I was knocking everybody out and doing all this. So now that I have structure, now that I actually have a system with Marquez, I have jiu-jitsu with Jonathan Webb. Like, I beat fucking Gerald Mearshart, the middleweight submission, highest fucking whatever. Dude got waxed. Like, didn't even come close to beating me. So my jiu-jitsu is underrated, and my wrestling is underrated. But I think it will come to light, with a guy like Jack. But
So you started the strength and conditioning program.
So I started the strength and conditioning program.
So what kind of stuff are you doing?
So, I was doing a power program. So I do like a 6 to 8 week power program, deads, squats, and bench. But bench is kind of bullshit because I care more about the explosive rep, right? Like that's what we care about, because I'm just not putting more than 275 on a bench with my elbow.
Right.
It's just not worth it. It's not worth the risk. It's not worth the nerve pain.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense for me. So I'd be deadlifting a fuck and I was squatting a fuck ton. I always wanted thick legs. I never had it. And then now I started putting on size, and I wanted my back. I've always had a real big back, like strong back, like wide. And so yeah, I mean, we were doing a power program, and then we would go right into like explosiveness and jumps and ladder drills and just doing real simple movements, but a lot of functionality, like a lot of core twisting, a lot of med ball slams, a lot of kettlebell stuff. And yeah, that's my coach right there, Adam Ferris. Dude, a hole in the wall, small ass gym. Like, I hate those fucking things so much.
Yeah, those single leg lunges are rough.
Yeah, and then we would just, but my point is, Joe, I gave myself time after I won 50 grand, because then I could afford to eat the way I needed to. That I was going to be evicted from where I was living if I didn't get side money from Dana, who gave me a place to live after I won my contract. And then when I got the 50 grand bonus, I was like, I'm going to fucking eat. Like, I get to eat good food. I can buy, food's expensive, you know? So, I took like the next 4 or 5-ish months to build myself. And then when I came in against Gerald, you hyped me up. You were like, it's fucking size. And I was like, dude, my ego. I was like, yes, finally.
Yeah, you looked awesome.
Been called fucking skinny my whole life.
Not anymore, brother.
Yeah,
not anymore.
Not at all. And then obviously we're doing all that work with something that you've seen, the documentary through all that time. Mm-hmm. So now it's finally, hopefully we get to release it soon. But you do have
There's
the
the official trailer. Yeah.
There's the official trailer.
We'll play the trailer and end on this. And listen, Joe, I'm a big fan. I'm fucking pumped for you.
Thank you.
I have, I'm so fortunate to be in the position that I'm in, to be able to watch these fights. And one of my favorite things is to watch guys come up. I love it.
Thank you, my man.
And the Razak Hassan fight was, to me, was like, that's what I like to see. A guy with potential that just like, oh, now you see it. Like, this guy's world championship potential. It's right there.
Exactly. And that's the only thing I'll say, and I'll leave my last. If you look at Jack and you look at me, the way my mind is, Jack's not been able to climb to the top, but he's been against the best, and he's lost to the best. Me, and if you look at him where he is now, coming off an injury, 35 years old, do you look at him and say, hey, this guy could hold the belt? No. I think the general public would say no. If you look at me, there's a lot of question marks still. I still have to prove myself against a lot of good guys. I haven't beat anybody that's that good. So I'm really honest with myself, but I'm going to put myself on the map very soon. So
I believe you.
I'm excited. And thank you for having me on
My pleasure,
here.
brother.
This has been fucking, my whole life has been crazy since I got in the UFC.
It's awesome. Enjoy it, my friend. Okay,
you.
so this when is this documentary coming out? When will people be able to see it?
Our fellow friend Alex Davis, we're working on it.
Shout out to Alex.
Can't say it yet, but this was actually filmed by Chandler Henry, who is actually a kid that I went to high school with. So now I got him a job, and he does this for a living. And
Beautiful.
This was made by him. So we're hoping really soon. I just can't say yet because that's Alex's job now.
All right. Well, Alex will take care of it, I'm sure. So we'll end on this, and this is available online. You can watch it. It's what is it called, Jamie? Official trailer, Journey to the UFC, Joe Pyfer. Go find it. And February, what is the fight with Hermanson?
February 10th. Main
February
event,
10th,
Las Vegas.
Main
Super
event
Bowl
from
weight.
the Apex. Let's go. All right. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I've always believed, ever since I was a kid, that fighting isn't something you do. Fighting is something that chooses you.
All my life, I was a throwaway kid. I was always terrified if I lost. I knew I was getting screamed at or I was going to get hit. Being slapped, punched, kicked, thrown down, hair ripped, to the point that I ran away from home just shy of 17 years old because I couldn't take it anymore.
A lot of different people come from broken homes and they hold so much anger inside and hurt. That makes a person just become kind of like an animal, you know?
Joe is just on this tear, and then he gets a call from Dana. Dana's like, I want to put you on the Contender Series.
This is Joey's shot to get in there and a career-ending injury just happened right in front of my face.
18 years in the game at that point, gone.
In Joe's case, this is the sort of injury that could absolutely end a career.
This is an unforgiving sport. When you're the man, everybody loves you, but the second you lose, everybody forgets you. I wasn't ready to be forgotten.
The pain that I know that kid went through and overcame in his life, if you want to beat him, you got to kill him.
Joe didn't really find out that he didn't have a place to live. And he's like, what do I do? And I was like, you go to Vegas and you fight.
Joe Pyfer makes his UFC debut after his Week 1 performance on the Contender Series. 8 of his 9 wins are by finish, and 6 of those are by knockout. This fight should be an absolute war.
I was scared for my life for the first time ever in any fight.
Fighting out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, here is Joe Pyfer!
If you want to get into the UFC and this is where you want to be Joe Pyfer.
Woo!